derivative still.
There she is. There she is.
There is a fifth dimension, beyond that which is known to man. It is a dimension as vast as space and as timeless as infinity. It is the middle ground between light and shadow, between science and superstition, and it lies between the pit of man's fears and the summit of his knowledge. This is the dimension of imagination. It is an area which we call the Twilight Zone. Hello and welcome to Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations, number 157, where we're exploring all of the Twilight Zone. Today, we're taking a closer look at the episodes called Dust and Back There from season 2. So we're having a Western and a time travel. So let's get going with these. But first, I want to say, of course, welcome everybody who's decided to join me to talk about this amazing TV series. So, hello today to Jedi Master 2022. How are you doing?
Good morning.
How are you feeling?
Outstanding.
How about you, Scotty R37?
Oh, I'm swell.
Yes.
Oh,
Al.
good.
Well,
With
actually,
kind of an
sweltering.
accent.
Yes. I haven't heard someone say they're swell in so long. I feel like I'm watching Superman
Wait.
when he goes, swell. Lois goes,
Nobody really says that anymore.
no more. Lois goes, no one ever says that anymore. Christopher Reeves. Oh, those two were great together anyways. I'm going
So
on.
good. So
You had to say swell, Scotty. You triggered me.
There you go.
And Gavin, I have a wee clip too, so I'll play that for Gavin.
Yeah.
The Golden Man.
You must be mistaken, sir. The gentleman and I have never met. Whee!
I played that one a lot last night, I think.
Too early to vote, still undecided, says Gavin. Okay, we'll keep on watching and see if you come up with a different conclusion than what you're thinking now. And yeah, I'm like putty in your hands. Convince me which way to vote. Oh, that's a lot of power.
It is.
So I'm going to share the screen. We've got slides. I always work on these slides meticulously, choosing which parts of the episode I want to share. So there they are. There's the first one. And Dust aired on January 6th, 1961. It was written by Rod Serling and directed by Douglas Hayes. And here's a bit of an explanation about how Hayes conceived the episode from Mark Scott Zicree's book about the Twilight Zone. He says, Dust was about a town that had sunk into the dust. In effect, it had no energy. The people there were listless. They were going to allow this man to be hanged simply because it was easier than not doing that. And that's where the genesis of this. And the episode immediately begins with the open narration this time. We don't play around this time. And we're of course in an old western town. It almost looks like it's on the verge of being a ghost town, except for there are a few people.
I like the way this was filmed. I wanted to interject that the set was great for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It looks
especially
gorgeous.
the classic tumbleweed and little dogs
Yes.
sitting around.
It looked like a really run down place.
Yeah, some place that might have used to be vibrant when it was first around, but now it's lost its luster. And yeah, so The glove cleaners made it. Hey, the glove cleaner kind of sounds like a town not really far from my neck of the woods. Centralia, Pennsylvania. Wow. I guess, yeah, there are still places that will feel this kind of empty. The actual origin of the story, were we playing a guitar? The actual
No, that
origin.
was my microphone boom mic. I pulled it a little closer so I could sit back in my chair,
Oh,
and it just makes that spring noise.
gotcha. It sounded like a bass guitar. Interesting.
No, I don't play no guitar.
The actual origin of the story came from a Playhouse 90 script that Serling did. He shortened it, he rewrote it, and we have the opening narration. So, Jedi Master, could you go to the private chat and read the opening narration for us today?
I got it right here. Oh, I have it on my. Okay, I'll read it right here. It's easier because I can look straight ahead. There was a village built of crumbling clay and rotting wood, and it squatted ugly under the broiling sun, like a sick, mangy animal wanting to die. This village had a virus, shared by its people. It was a germ of squalor, of hopelessness, a loss of faith. With the faithless, the hopeless, the misery laden, there is time, ample time to engage in one of the other pursuits of men. They began to destroy themselves.
Yes. And so that's how it starts. We already saw an episode centered around executions in the form of hanging in a Western setting, but that one was a time travel one where the protagonist, who was also the villain, was sent to the future to cause some mayhem. And but this time there's no time travel.
Well, and I do enjoy the gallows, the dramatic sort of presentation of the dropping of the sacks of whatever. I got really excited about seeing this actor until I realized that it was not who I thought it was. I thought that this was Vic Tayback, who plays Oxmix, either Oxmix or Krakow in Piece of the Action. And I was like, oh, it's Vic Tayback. And then I went and I was looking through the cast, and it's like, no, that's not. I was sure it was. So I look, and I find out who the actor was. Apparently, he made quite a name for himself in terms of cinematography. And here it is, your first Star Trek of the day. He was the cinematographer for Star Trek Generations.
Vladimir.
Oh, okay. Well, his real name is Alonzo, John Alonzo.
John Lonzo. Okay.
Right. The other one, Vladimir Sokolov, is the dad. So they both.
Oh yeah, I got them. I flip. I got them mixed. I twisted them. John Alonzo.
Yeah.
Okay.
John Alonzo. Yeah, definitely. Oh, and he's Texan, born in Texas. He's a cinematographer for Generations. Yeah, there he is. That is great. Let's see if I notice anything else myself. I never saw Steel Magnolias, but he was director of photography for that. So yeah, he goes from this to really getting into film in different ways. That's cool.
Well, and that's also like with Sidney Pollack, who we had recently on the show, who played a director. Remember when he played the director, and then he actually went on to be quite an accomplished director.
Yeah. And so there he is. He's doomed. He's the man who's set to be hanged. His name is oh gosh.
Gallego.
Thank you. And then we also have Peter Sykes. That's his character name. And he's brought the stuff, like he's the merchant of the town. He's brought stuff that you need to live, stuff you need for your kitchen, and some booze. And Peter Sykes is played by Thomas Gomez. and
am
he's been
looking
in
at
stuff.
him.
Yeah, Thomas Gomez. Yeah, if you look, he played.
He
He
was in
was in.
Cyrano.
You know.
Yeah, 1923.
Wow. He's also in A Game of Chess in 1940, which is apparently one of the first shows ever telecast from New York. Wow, this is from Unlocking the Door to a Television Classic by Grams
What?
Jr.
You want to hear a big one, Jill? Beneath the Planet of the Apes in 1970.
No way. Sweet.
Yes, he was. I'm looking right at it.
I believe
Nice.
you. I was just taken aback.
Key Largo. He was in Force of Evil in 19. Wow, The Conqueror. He was in a lot. He's also in another Twilight Zone, Route 66, Dr. Kincaid, Ed Burke's Law, The Virginian, Bewitched, The Rifle, Gunsmoke. Wow, this guy's got a resume.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Twilight Zone. Of course, he was in this one, but he was also in Escape Clause, where he played Cadzwallop. Wait, I forget. I might be saying the name wrong, but he was essentially the devil, in that one, which was pretty good. He was really great in that one. And somebody asked him, I guess, in an interview, how he feels about playing the bad guy from one TV program to another, and he said, "I don't understand those categories. I just call myself a leading man and let it go at that. If you ask me what I like best, I would say a comedy part with some rascality, warmth, and dimension, and parts where Latin people are presented with sympathy, or at least with humanity." And yeah, this episode achieves that, I think.
He played the minister in Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
The minister, gotcha.
The mutant minister, I'm assuming. And Beneath, wouldn't that be the mutant minister?
I hate to say it, in my Planet of the Apes knowledge, I think that Beneath is the only one I haven't seen. Not to say that Beneath the
it's
Planet
amazing.
of the Apes is beneath me.
Well, I'll have to do it one night on my channel for you.
Yeah, man, that would be awesome. I haven't seen it before. That'd be great.
It's classic sci-fi. It fits into it's on my list of things to do. Even, but we'll talk about that later. Anyways, let's keep going.
Do you?
Sorry.
Well, he's just walking. So, do you think it's a bit of hypocrisy that he's just walking around swigging from liquor and laughing at this guy who's going to die because he was drinking and hurt somebody while drinking?
Well, we find him. He's a swindler.
No. Yeah, because he didn't hurt anybody.
Well, then that's the thing. This is probably one of the earliest anti-drunk driving PSAs I've ever viewed.
Yeah. It's not a no drunk driving. It's like no drunk. What do you call it? Like carriage riding, or what?
Well,
I guess
but
they still call it driving.
That's why I think it's entertaining. Is that they say you're not supposed to operate any sort of motorized vehicle, even a pedal bike. You're not supposed to do it while you're intoxicated. They can give you a breathalyzer on a Schwinn.
Yeah, I don't think they had a breathalyzer in this time period.
No, they just had a dead daughter. That was the proof they needed.
Yeah. Matthew Eagle. Hey, Matthew Eagle. Can't stay long, but you know what? It's okay if you can't stay long, Matthew Eagle. Just being able to say hello. That is
Matthew.
Great to see you.
Larson's in the house.
Yeah. Could you read this from Greek letters?
Only the best actors play the villains because you need skill to play the complicated characters. Yasuvre manga tikanis. Kalimera. I said, how you doing, my friend? Manga is just like a Greek slang for like, yo, what's up, yo?
What's up, yo? And that's what he's not really, like, he's more of an antagonist. He's certainly a scoundrel, but I don't see him as being a villain in this episode. Especially
I do. I think he's pretty evil. Well, I mean, he is there. Well, and that's the best part is that someone who you think is pure evil, it turns out to have some humanity with him. And that's great. I like the dimensionality of that. Sigvaldson says, praise to our eldritch god who will transform this world into one large Twilight Zone. Good afternoon,
Delightful.
Sigvaldson. Yeah.
What's up, Siggy?
I keep reading those. One day I might believe it.
I saw this awesome, completely off topic. I saw this awesome short video of the moon coming alive and then eating Earth. And it reminded me of that sort of, and I'm not one for Lovecraftian horror, but I did enjoy that.
Wow. It'd be biting
scary.
off more than it could chew because the moon is so
totally,
much smaller.
Totally ate the Earth. It was great.
It's funny. And so basically this guy just goes into the jail and starts teasing the accused, the sentenced, the doomed.
Yep. He's like torturing him.
Yeah, he says, you ought to see the fancy 5-strand hemp I sold the town for your party gals. Like he's already bragging about the rope that he sold. And so that's a setup for later. That this is a great kind of rope. And it's gonna really do the job.
Well, and also it's interesting the dynamic that happens. Like what's his name? What are we gonna call this guy? What's his character's name?
Well, okay, this
Luis.
Luis? Yeah, Luis is his name.
Is the
and this Peter Sykes.
Yes. And Sykes, right. Every time that there's a bad guy in an old-timey Western, usually it's Sykes. He walks in and he's proud of his wares in terms of the rope that he sold. He wants to offer more things to the sheriff, and he's boorish, to be sure. But I didn't know it was I didn't know it was gauche to make fun of a man who had, through neglect, killed anybody. And so, but I guess there's been too much death in this town recently, and everyone.
He explains, Coke explains it. It's not so much the making fun of; it's that it's so hot and everybody's tired. It's kind of
like today.
He can't read. Peter can't read the room. And Coke says, I'd like you to take your fat carcass and your loud mouth out into the open air. This is a small room, and it's a hot time of the morning. But Peter completely ignores this and continues to taunt Lewis, which gives, and that actually gives us a bigger picture as to why Louis is about to be killed. And yes, that's how we find out that he ran over a little girl with his wagon because he was drunk. And yeah, definitely no riding your wagon while you're drunk, because that happens. And I get it, but it's also, I do appreciate the compassion of the sheriff, just in terms of, we've already lost one life. There's no reason in celebrating the loss of another. Luis is obviously remorseful and regretting of his actions that caused the death. But I don't know. It's something. And while I do not in any way, shape, or form advocate for drinking and driving, I just the complete and total villainy of anyone who has had a lapse in judgment, I think, can be a little bit harsh from the mob. Yes, I've been known to have those feelings that you're a drunk driver, you're the scum of the earth, and I have no sympathy for you. But this episode kind of turns that around a bit. And the line that you're referring to is when the very, very end of the scene, when the day is over, which one will you weep for? Says Sykes. And Coke says, I have tears enough for both.
Yeah.
Yep. The whole town is like desolate. They're all miserable. It looks like they don't have a whole lot of money, anybody, and life is hell. And this guy, yes, he did take a life, and my opinion, and that they've just, like you said, they've just had enough of the kill, dying, and there's this suffering, and this, they're not taking homage. Yes, they're following the law because this guy did kill the girl because he was intoxicated, but you can see that they have there is that sense of, like, this guy made a mistake. Does he really need to, probably there's a conflict. Does he really need to be hung for this?
Well, he does need to be. That's what the sheriff says. I mean, it's like he stood before a judge. His punishment has been doled. We do have to exact that, but to take joy in what is a momentary lapse in judgment, like, it doesn't appear. And for the short period of time that we know Luis, and obviously we get to learn more of him through the eyes of his father, but I think that the torch-bearing villagers who are like, well, this happened and now they must die as well, it just comes into being more of a bloodlust as opposed to a justice, and that is shown through the field trip that a father takes to see a man die.
Well, yeah, that's essentially the whole goal of the episode, is to examine what happens with the mob mentality, and what and actually putting a bit of humanity to something that seems open and closed. But Sykes relishes that Peter is going to be hanged. It's like an entertainment for him. So he's very cruel. He's very annoying. But Coke knows what to do. He's got it's happened. That's his sentence. But there's nothing in his sentence that says he's got to be tormented by a pig who sells trinkets at funerals. And that's another
Mr.
setup.
Haney, like an old their version of a Mr. Haney, except he's belligerent.
Who's Mr. Haney?
From Green Acres.
Oh my!
You know who I'm talking about, Scotty? Or am I that old?
No.
You guys don't remember Green Acres? Come on now.
I remember the theme song, but I was more of a Petticoat Junction guy. Kidding.
Yeah,
don't know that one either.
June Lockhart was a doctor on that show. You know that.
Sure. No, I didn't. No, like, I appreciate going back for older media and older sitcoms, but I don't have any sort of encyclopedic knowledge when it comes to the sitcoms of the era, like Green Acres or Petticoat Junction.
I got an eidetic memory.
Nice. So this actor who plays Coke, who plays Sheriff Coke, is played by John Larch, and this thing where they wanted the actors to be listless was pretty difficult for Larch. John Larch came in, and I changed him quite a bit, says Hayes, the director, because he was written as a strong sheriff, and I played him as a sheriff who had no energy at all, who represented the listlessness of the town. And it was hard for John to do because he's a man with energy. And he plays it well in terms of just being tired of everything. Because
I think.
Well, and it is something difficult to, from what I understand, in terms of pulling off, as mentioned before, playing villains is fun, but playing sort of despondent or world weary can often come off as looking bored, and so I don't get that from the sheriff.
Don't get that he's bored, or don't get that.
I don't get that he's bored. I do appreciate the world weariness in the in the performance.
Yeah, it's almost a bit nihilistic.
But also empathetic as well.
Yes. Why didn't Jill know this? Wait, what? Or perhaps the man
was looking to learn.
An indentured servant for X amount of time. Yeah. Well, yeah.
That sounds
sorry,
like,
I don't know Green Acres.
Yeah, that's fine. But I did see. I was watching it on TBS as well, so I am somewhat familiar. But I didn't watch enough episodes of either of those shows. I got a sense of it. I know that there were 3 chicks in a water tower when it comes to Petticoat Junction, and I understand that there's an Arnold. Arnold from Green Acres was a pig.
In a water tower. Is this Animaniacs?
No, yeah, exactly. No, that's where the hot ladies would bathe at the beginning of every episode.
I have one comment I'd like to add. But I thought all the actors really nailed it in this episode. The sheriff, you said despondent sheriff. The sheriff was despondent, and you said you could have seen it seemed boorish, but he was like you see he was sucked. The life was sucked out of him from the old. From how's it go? From all the things around him. He's drained of any kind of he's just like following the law but despondently doing it. You know what I mean? Do you guys extrapolate that like I do?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Well, yeah, he's been taken down by the poverty is everywhere, and he can see people not having a good time, and so he's not either. And so Coke is not Coke. Peter's expressing his condolences to the grieving parents who lost their little girl, which would have been fine, but then he just won't shut up. He's like, well, this is going to be a good day. That guy's going to hang. And, not the exact script line, but that's the spirit of it. And Coke tries to keep Sykes quiet. But that's not he's not the only one who accosts the grieving parents. And so now we finally meet Luis's dad.
Well, and this is, I like the sort of juxtaposition of, don't worry, we'll kill the man who did this, who took your daughter from you. We'll do it. And then it is juxtaposed with the father saying, I would give my own life if you would spare my sons. And it's kind of interesting. It's like, well, you've got two sets of parents. They're all, they don't want their offspring to perish. And so also this young actress
yes,
reminded me a lot of the little girl, young actress in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because she is so good in this. Like, just for what she has to do, she's not over enthusiastic. She's not adorable. She's not cute. Like, she's realistic in the harsh world of this Western. I don't even think, do they say the name of the town? I'm probably...
Oh, no, I was talking just a second ago, but I didn't realize I was still muted. But yes, they don't ever say what the name of the town is, but her name is Andrea Morgolis. And I don't know. I don't see her even in IMDb, so I didn't really look her up. Maybe she didn't do it too much, but I agree that she pulled off this particular performance pretty well.
I think I read on Wikipedia that her contributions to entertainment were basically she was an amazing child actress at the time, but her career basically peaked in 1964, and then she walked away from it.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. There are a lot of child actors who decide, you know what, that was nice, but I'm going to do something else now.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I'll read it.
Carrots? What?
For fact's sakes, Ma. Who makes a cake with carrots and chocolate? I can't eat that.
I've actually never had carrot cake.
What? You're crazy. So good.
Nope. Oh, hey, lemon pie here. Lemon pie voted for Dust in the poll. Yes, there is a poll. Tell us which episode you like better. Currently, we are reviewing Dust, and the little girl is translating for her dad. I guess the sister of Luis, and so she's saying that Gallegos would have given his life and to save the little girl who perished in the wagon accident caused by drunk driving that his son caused. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. I was just catching up lemon pie since he wasn't here. So of course the parents dismiss him. Like we're burying our daughter today. I'm not really interested in this. And so, but Galileo's dad tries to explain to everyone what his son did was an accident, that he didn't mean it. And well, someone starts to chuck a rock at him. And so we see a bit of that violence there from the town, from the mob. And he says, and Luis tells his dad to go home. They'll hurt you if you stay. Please go home now. He says it in Spanish and in English for us. Brogu, hey, hello, Brogu. He says, Kapla.
Kapla.
Yeah. But before his dad leaves, he tries to give Luis. Oh, someone else is entering. That's Penny. Hello, Penny. Luis is trying to. He's trying to give Luis his lucky coin, but it doesn't get passed down to him as he wants.
Which is really interesting because it does sort of plant that seed into Sykes' cutthroat capitalist ways. It's like, oh, this guy's already superstitious. I'm pretty sure I can sell him some magic dust.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Right. And he definitely wants to take advantage. Very Ferengi.
Gallego.
Very Ferengi.
Mm-hmm. And Okay. So Jedi Master needs to step away for a little bit, and he'll be back when he can. Take your time. I like Russell Johnson too, Penny. He'll be in the second episode. That'll be interesting too. And basically,
Gallego
is basically.
We can hear every time you go to check and see what it's. I can hear the pronunciation bot.
Yeah, well, I'm getting help here.
It's fine. I just wanted to. It's hilarious and adorable.
It's just that I know that double L's are silent. Like it twists my English brain. Like I even took Spanish for a couple of years in high school, and still it messes with me. I still can't quite do it.
Fair enough.
And well, basically Gallego is saying he asked the sheriff if you've never been drunk or felt pain. And yeah, he's trying to inject that kind of sympathy from the sheriff.
Well, and also it sort of paints a picture of as to what the town is going through. Haven't you been so hungry that without work and with the sun and the ground dying underneath you? Maybe I'm getting both Luis and Gallego mashed.
No, that's
together.
correct. No, you're right. That's exactly what he says.
And it's just like so he got drunk. So he didn't see, and he realized his mistake as soon as it happened. Do you have to kill him? And the answer is like, come on. In the Old West, the answer is yeah. But like it is something where it would be the pleading. We're not usually when you see a Western villain in a jail cell, he's just a son of a bitch. And in this, it's obviously that there is a remorse to it, and even the sheriff has remorse for it. And I like how it isn't so cut and dried, where one mistake defines a human.
Yeah, that's true. And one mistake can turn everything around, even if you're not someone who's trying to be malicious.
Right.
Obviously, Luis isn't. He didn't want to do what he did. You made a big mistake.
Mhm.
DJ
Hey,
Knight,
DJ Knight.
hello. Jill, just do what I do. People always are speaking to me in Spanish because of the way I look, and I just tell them, no habla español, habla inglés. Yeah. Oh, yes, I've added lo siento because I want to tell them I'm sorry.
Nice.
Yeah, I do. I do that. I have to do that too. Yeah, exactly the same thing. The same thing happens to me.
Well, and I
And
go
and
through the whole thing from Anchorman when Ron Burgundy's dog Baxter starts barking at him, and he's like, "You know, I don't speak Spanish." So whenever anybody says any language that I don't understand to me, I just basically I steer it back to Anchorman. Oh, come on, you know, I don't speak Spanish. I was speaking French. Even worse.
yeah. Well, and the coin doesn't make it to Lewis, but this is well, and you put a point on that already. Since Sykes does offer him, hey, if he tells the little girl to tell Gallego's dad to bring 100 pesos to him, and he will give him magic dust, and this magic dust will make everybody love and forgive. And yeah, that's just, and of course he's lying. He's running a scam. He's running a scam artist on this poor dad who's about to, it feels he's about to have to grieve his son. He knows he's going to lose his kid because his kid made another pair of parents lose their kid. So retribution has to happen. And so he's taking advantage of the situation in this way. And to someone who already is superstitious. Oh, this man is superstitious, so he's going to fall for this. It's really gross. It's pretty evil. But part of this comes from a radio script that Serling wrote in 1950 called The Dust by Any Other Name. And it had a character named Abner Bodner who built a chemical plant that would produce magic dust. And when the dust was breathed in, the dust would make mortal enemies forget their hatred. And as a result of his efforts, Bodner has an accident that costs him his life, proving to everyone that a man who dies in his belief of peace leaves a larger mark on society. I don't know. I'd have to listen to the old radio play to understand that. He believed in his dream, not the dust. And so that's where that idea comes from. And Luis finally has to face his maker. He's he's on his way to the gallows. And Lemon Pie says, "Como te llamas?" Me llama antiderivative Jill. You guys are gonna make me do Spanish in the middle of. Well, I asked for it anyway. So, where are we? Are we getting to the gallows yet? Because that's where I have my next notes to continue this episode. When was it God made people, says Coke? Was it the 6th day? He should have stopped at the 5th. I think that's where I noticed a bit of nihilism in Coke's character. That's the proof of that. But Luis Gallego understands. So Coke says that line because there are so many people who've come out to see this execution. But the thing is that Luis Gallego understands. he says they're tired of hating this place. This is a great line for this episode. The sun, the ground that is dead under your feet, they must go out and find something else to hate. And so they need to displace their hatred of their own lives and project it onto somebody else. Well, for some
Sorry
reason,
about
Greek
that.
Letters Larson thinks that the show's over. And tune in next week for a special episode where Jill is going to be speaking Spanish. No, I'm not. No. How do you
Oh, we
say
can
it? Give
learn
me
by
all
next
your
week.
ice cream. Well, I answered Lemon Pie's question about my name. I think that's enough Spanish for today.
Sounds
Speaking
good.
of Spanish, have you considered doing Pedro Almodovar movies
Pedro
review? I don't know who that is.
Almodovar?
I don't know who that is or what movies.
You know I don't
he's
speak Spanish Greek letters.
done. Yeah, and I know more Spanish than Scotty, and yet I can't
This is
speak
true.
Spanish. Anyway, that's the main theme of the episode is that these people have been suffering so much that they want to project their suffering onto someone else to relieve their own suffering.
Oh, how nothing has changed.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I guess
Human
maybe.
nature.
So, also, something about Coke that I have to mention is that he's deliberately named after the scriptwriter, famous for penning the War of the Worlds Panic broadcast and an episode of Lux Video Theater and the 1942 screenplay Casablanca.
Really?
Really? Yeah. Well, he's one of the three writers of that. I don't remember the other writers because I just.
Well, the
was
other
like,
two were
really?
identical
Yeah.
twins
Yeah.
and directed by Michael Curtiz.
Speaking Spanish isn't easy, says DJ Knight. Yes, especially when I haven't practiced in so long. 5 years of Spanish in school is a long, long time ago. Yeah, what? Right. And did I even have 5 years? I think I had 4. Wait, no, I didn't even have 4. I think I just did the minimum. I think I only did 2 years. Or yeah. I was like, okay, that I did the minimum of what I needed to not have to take Spanish in college.
Yeah, I remember in high school having to take French, and you needed to take 2 semesters of French. And after that, it was like, that's just what it was almost like ticking off requirements for graduation as opposed to actually being interested in learning French. And that's one of my biggest regrets in terms of my education is that I wish I had stuck with learning French because it would have been profitable. Hey, Suzanne.
Yeah, hello, Suzanne. Brogu says, speaking of Spanish, I have one thing to say. I'm tired of Pedro Pascal being in everything. Who's with me?
I haven't seen all the
I'm
things
not that
he's been
excited
in.
about him.
Yeah.
I haven't either, but he doesn't excite me anytime I see him.
What is it? He was in the that Nicolas Cage movie, The Unbearable Unbearable Lightness of Incredible Talent, or Incredible Weight of Unbearable Talent, something like that. I don't know. Whenever I see him in stuff, it's never his fault that I don't like it. It's usually the movie, like Wonder Woman 84. I thought he was horribly miscast as that person. I don't know. I don't mind him. I don't mind Pedro Pascal. But again, my biggest complaint about him recently, and it's also based on a performance that I haven't seen, is that I don't think that he's appropriate to play Reed Richards because everyone knows that should have been John Hamm.
John Hamm.
It's my answer to everything.
The glove cleaner says, I had a major crush on my 7th and 8th grade Spanish teacher. Wow.
Sexy.
Well, meet Roger. Roger's brought all his kids along to the execution, and my doorbell has just rung. So Roger thinks that this is the way to teach his kids about, hey, don't ride your wagon and drink and drive, and this is his idea of showing them the consequences of this kind of mistake. And Roger's played by Dwayne Gray. And I'm going to go answer the door. I will be right back in just a minute.
Sure. And I like the interaction between Roger and the and the sheriff, because it's like, oh, that's a fine way to raise your kin. When you teach them about pain, what do? Shoot one of them in the arm? And I like that. But again, that I think that's also the sort of sensibilities of the 20th century being projected upon the brutal discipline of the 19th century, especially in the West. And yeah, like at this point, parenting was still, don't spare the rod kind of thing. So, but yeah, Suzanne, Jedi Master is here. He is just, he's stepped away for a moment. He's got 3D stuff going on. And yeah, and Jill's just answering her door. Hopefully everything is tickety-boo. And when Greek Letters says, don't answer the door and speak Spanish, Jill, they might be ICE agents. I think ICE agents actually speak Spanish. They'd have to be able to communicate with the people that they're apprehending. But I had this feeling about Mr. Fantastic as well when the original Tim Story movies came out as well. I was like the obvious choice to play Mr. Fantastic in 2000 whatever's Fantastic Four. It should have been Clooney. Clooney is the epitome of Mr. Fantastic, and my words went unheeded, and so Ion Graffode, what are you doing? No, again, nothing against the actor, but you're certainly not Mr. Fantastic. I'll tell you that much. And same thing happens now, Pedro. But also, the times have changed with the Fantastic Four. For some reason, people think that Reed Richards should have a facial hair. Like, what was that? The guy from The Office, Krasinski. Like, why the hell did he have a beard? Everyone knows, but I know that they did in the New York comics. They gave him a beard, but that's not my Reed Richards. Clean shaven with a haircut you can set a watch to, I tell you.
Well, there you are.
That's it. Yeah, don't spare the rod and spoil the kids. DJ gets it.
Okay, before we move on to the little boy talking to Luis, one of these little boys is Douglas Hayes Jr., but I don't know which one it is. The book just says one of the farmer boys. And
Who was the son of the director?
Yeah, the son of the director, Douglas Hayes, yes. Brogu says, I'm going to speak in your language. Adios, everyone. See you mañana.
A bientôt.
Aw. Are you really leaving, Brogu? If so, I'll see you. I'll see you next time. Thank you for hanging out with us. There was a time when British soldiers were mandatory to have facial hair. Or I guess at one point Greek Letters is saying British soldiers used to have facial hair.
Well, there was even there was a time
that kind of excludes women, I guess.
I forget what it was. It wasn't Due South, but there was a television show that was produced in the 90s, and it was about, I think it was kind of like Borderland or something. It wasn't Borderland, but it was something border, and it was an American sheriff and Canadian Mountie on either side of the border in like what would be Alberta and North or somewhere, and it was along the Canadian-American border. And the first episode had the Mountie without a mustache, like clean shaven, because they wanted handsome, square-jawed matinee idol for their television show. But historically, if you wanted to be an officer in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, you had to have a mustache. And they threw in a line of dialogue, said he was like allergic to razors or something. But there was a time where you had to show your virility and manhood by growing some facial hair. The bigger and the waxier the mustache, the better.
Yeah, I don't know. Goatees are kind of cooler than mustaches now, but this was a different time. Brogu says, I will be here listening. but I have some work to do.
Fair enough.
Well, the only one, there are only a few people who pull off just a mustache nowadays, like Geraldo.
But that's almost like, I would say Selick. Geraldo's is almost a punchline unto itself.
Yeah. I guess I just accept it. I have to have already accepted the person with the mustache.
Yeah, it is something. It is something where if someone decides to grow a mustache, it's like,
Or they
that's a
have to
choice.
own it and really groom it really nice.
Yeah, like I had a fairly solid beard, like for what I can do, last year, and then I shaved it all off, and I had a mustache, and well, I think I sent a picture to you, and it was like, no, dear God, no.
I did that to my husband one time. He had a full beard with everything, and I wanted to do Halloween with him as Luigi. So so I had to shave the rest of it except, and so of course after that day he got rid of all of it. Like, no, don't keep that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But again, it's
But
something that if
it was
you
the
do
perfect
decide
it was a
upon,
perfect costume though.
I think the most ridiculous, well, not most ridiculous, but I think the reason it fell out of favor was the introduction of the term porn stash. I think that did it. And but you know, Movember for prostate cancer awareness in Novembers, that's a thing that happens up here in Ontario. I don't know if it happens around in your parts of the woods, but yeah, and some people go for it and they own it from November until like the beginning of October, at which point they have to shave their mustaches so that they can grow it back for November. For
I
cancer
never understood
research.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, for charity.
Yeah, it's for charity.
Okay, that's great.
Sure. Oh, Sam Elliott, glove cleaner. You're absolutely right. Sam Elliott is the definition. That is.
There are
He's
definitely
absolutely.
exceptions.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
We could make a list.
We can check it twice. We'll find out which mustaches are naughty or nice. And I think he is still alive yet. Steve Harvey mustache is good. Oh, and you know what? Someone else who's really been able to maintain, Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's got a great mustache.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. He does. So it's time for the hanging. There's quite a crowd, as we mentioned before, because everybody wants to project their suffering. And Gallego is having his last rites, but the crowd is getting really impatient. One person says they should have done that in the jail. Let me see some blood, basically. And against.
Well, also, don't forget that this is basically TV. There is.
Yes, this is.
They don't have a theater.
Unfortunately.
In Death Gulch, New Mexico, or wherever this is.
They should. That's what should have happened. They should open a theater. Against Luis's advice, the dad shows up. And so, of course, he's there to buy the dust that I thought the dust was going to do nothing but cause him harm, because we do see Sykes just filling it up with ordinary dust from the ground. And I was afraid that the crowd was going to hurt him because he'd be throwing dirt in their face. And I was really hoping he wouldn't fall for this, but he does.
Desperate parent.
At least he was smart enough to leave his little girl at home this time.
Well, and also, like, if you want to talk about Sykes and his situation, as far as he cares, he's swindling the father of a killer. Like, there would be some sort of moral justification from Johnny needs a belt and suspenders. I shouldn't make fun of the courtly person.
No, that's okay. Obesity is a thing. It exists.
My town is going hungry. Well, yeah, because Sykes is eating everything.
Suzanne. See, but he also brings everything to town too. He's not all bad. He does He does his work as a merchant, but he is a swindler. Suzanne says, "Well, have a great stream, Jill. I'm off to bed now." Wow. Okay. Sweet dreams, Suzanne. I'll see you around when you wake up.
Tidings of comfort and joy.
Is Suzanne from Australia? I don't think so, but I could be wrong. Oh, and Broga's going back to work. Yes. Yes. Yes.
A
Do
prophet
well.
guide your light.
Yes. And so he bought the dust, and Sykes is so super happy about this. He's excited, and thinks it's the most hilarious thing in the world to take advantage of a poor father who wants to save his son.
Hey, do you see that guy in the background there?
There's the guy in the background. Hold on, let me see. I wasn't looking.
That guy in the middle with the hat and the mustache. Looks a little old.
Yes. I see him.
You think he knows Vina?
Is he? Oh, really? Wow,
Yeah,
he
true
shows up
story.
all the time in Twilight Zone. This is not the first time.
He's a crazy old, not crazy. Like it is crazy how much he gets as a background actor or a supporting. It wouldn't really be a cameo, but he's a working actor from 1960s television. Kudos to that dude.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the television version of Lee Marvin.
Yeah.
But older and more sober.
So, where was I in my notes here?
We were about to have a hanging.
Yeah, we're about to have a hanging, and Gallego's dad buys the dust, and Sheriff Coke is just too busy with the execution to recognize that Sykes is pulling off this scam, and so he lost the poor father lost 100 pesos he collected from his friends, and they sold very expensive things like horses and carriages and everything. And yeah, like you said, Sykes feels completely justified taking this money.
Well, and also you could say that he was sort of preying on the Spanish, on the Mexicans.
Yeah, that could be seen too. That could very well be I think there was a line that supports that idea. I forget what line it was. It was early in the episode. Oh, he was accusing the sheriff of appreciating the foreigners or something. And
yeah. So again,
and so
times have changed.
Very, very, very subtle racism injected in there. Yeah, definitely. But that's why he's the evil scumbag of the episode until the very end. And because the magic dust, there's Gallego's dad arrives with the ordinary dust he thinks is magic. He must pay heed to the magic now. He's desperate and he manic at spreading the dust. For love, for compassion, magically so, that my son can live, as you yourselves once used to live. Magic, you must pay heed to the magic. It is only for the love. And he repeats these kinds of phrases over and over, kind of like a chant.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I have theories.
And
I have a theory.
I thought that this would end in ridicule and that the crowd would be upset and everything. But instead, the rope breaks. Luis falls through and he doesn't die. And this particular Western town does not follow the laws of double jeopardy. So the fate of Luis is given back to the parents. And
which
yeah,
I was actually, because I didn't see this coming at all. I had no idea what was going to happen.
Me neither.
I don't think that this is so much of an O. Henry ending, just as a but I did like. I was surprised because I thought there was going to be something from the sheriff when he would say, like, well, he was tried, he was convicted, we carried out his his punishment, and the Lord stepped in and intervened, because there was a thing where the kid comes up when Luis is still in jail, and it's like, do you think it's going to hurt if the Lord wills it? And
yeah, that's another setup. You're right.
And it was like, oh, okay. And so I don't know. I think that in terms of, and even when the sheriff says to the parents, and it's like, well, an eye for an eye, it's up to you. And my historical knowledge is shaky at best, much like Corrigan from the next episode. But it's like that, applying the an eye for an eye and the whole world goes blind philosophy in this, I thought was rather touching. And then even with the response from the mom, and being like, there's been enough death. Do we need any more? I thought it was...
Yes, and that's Wade's Mr. Canfield. I might have got the name wrong, but I think it's Canfield.
Sure.
And yes, you're right. He basically says that it's divine providence here, that divine intervention stopped this execution, and his belief in that is what leads him to say one victim is enough. And so he does side with his wife, that there is that teamwork in deciding that this is the end, stop the violence here. And it's almost as if that magic dust did work.
Well,
but it's kind of like a placebo.
But also it's like, and I don't know, maybe this is blasphemous. Oh, sure, let's just say it's blasphemous. But it's a matter of kind of like it's the same sort of story as the fishes and loaves kind of thing, where it's like Jesus is there and he's handing out the fishes and loaves, but there's like 1,000 people and they pass around the basket of fishes and loaves because it's supposed to feed everybody. But Jesus says, be humble and be reserved. Don't take what you want, take what you need. And everyone just realizes, well, I'm not really all that hungry. Like, I'm not dying or anything. And so they just keep passing it around. And then it comes back to Jesus. And it's like, see, it's a miracle. We still have fishes and loaves. No one took it all. And it does reside in the goodness of human nature. And in this, it's the pleading of the Father, who is like, magic dust, you must believe. And then something actually happens, which is the miracle of the rope breaking. Or it was a shitty rope, no matter what Psych says. It was a brand new rope. I don't understand.
That's my other theory. Yeah, that Sykes will do anything to make a buck, and maybe his rope was not as good as he thought.
Yeah, does he look like a reliable rope smith?
Yeah, someone said Jesus, Christian fandom geek. Hello.
Hey. Did somebody say Jesus? Yes, we rubbed the lamp and you arrived.
Yeah, the goodness of human nature.
And that's also what sways the mob.
I heard about that at a Star Trek convention too, where they had an original on-screen phaser, and they passed it all around everybody who was in the room, which was a lot of people, and nobody tried to steal it.
And and I think that that's something that applies to a lot of. You think you found the deepest of holes, of the deepest of pits, of the worst that humans can do, like a father bringing his children to witness the death of a man. And like the father was probably disappointed, but the kids were happy that they didn't have to suffer through it. Actually, that one kid who said, "Is it going to hurt?" probably was the kind of kid who blew up frogs with a cherry bomb, but if they existed.
Oh, cherry bombs? Well, we've had fireworks for a while. I don't know.
Well, the Chinese invented them far before, in like the several BCs.
And I think this is something that's missing from some modern day stories, in terms of having a character who's kind of an asshole and kind of mildly racist, and then he at the end of the episode, it shows that he's still human. And this is something that Quantum Leap was able to achieve too in some episodes.
What
was showing some compassion.
Well, even like Live,
And
Die, Repeat, the Tom Cruise movie, where he is instructed to fight when he was just a PR guy. He starts off being a smarmy, slimy, get out of jail free card guy. And then you find out through the course of the movie that there's more in him than that. They still do it, but it's fewer and far between.
I don't really think Sykes actually changed too much, but I think that he was just touched with the same humanity that everyone was touched with just a minute ago. And so he gives away his ill-gotten scam money to the little children who are standing by.
Caveat emptor. Is that how you say it? Buyer beware. But it worked, so I'm happy. Welcome back, Jedi Master.
Yeah, exactly. The scam, the only reason it worked though was because the father believed in it and because the rope was, either the rope was just no good or the, I don't know. I think the dust had to have something to do with it, even though it was just a kind of a placebo that helped everybody believe
As I experience
in
certain
goodness.
sensory input patterns, my mental pathways become accustomed to them.
Because
Oh.
of the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, hold on. Stig Balderson has just renewed his membership for 5 months. He's been a member for 5 months, and he's at Dream Element says he's a sponsor. Yay! Thank you so much for being a member, Stig Balderson.
Have some gold coins.
Gold coins.
Well, that's what happens in this right here.
I don't think
Remember?
I have any gold coins.
The dad, he says, it was supposed to be 100 pesos, but he gives 4 gold coins, and it's like, oh, gold.
Oh, here's a bit of wisdom from Scotty, just for Stig Balderson.
Well, never get drunk unless you're willing to pay for it. The next day.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like me too.
Yes. Yay, Jill is giving out authentic gold coins for being a member. Wait a minute. Scotty.
Authentic gold coins are not guaranteed.
They'll be pretend 3D printed gold coins.
No, get the ones that are filled with chocolate. Just don't send them this time of year, or else they'll turn into puddles. It'll be like platinum.
Exactly. I'd have to send them with ice blocks.
Oh.
I mean, I would not want to send a chocolate and then have it end up just being melted nothing. Quick, I have a bridge to sell.
Yes.
Jill is truly generous.
It is true. She is. But, gold is it scarce? Kind of scarce.
Okay. Oh, wait, we forgot to read the closing narration. Okay, so let me read that.
Jill, unfortunately, I have to, because the nurse, I want to go read my DM real quick, my private message, because I do have to step away and go somewhere and take care of it. My labs weren't done, and I thought I would be able to, because she was unable to stick me properly, and I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but I have to go out there personally to their lab and get it done right now, because they won't
I
wait
understand.
until
I
next week.
understand.
I so apologize.
You got to do what you got to do, and your health comes first. And I'm glad you're making it a priority. But if there's anything you want to share with anybody about what's coming up for you, if you got a minute.
Okay, Monday night, this coming Monday night, we're going to be talking about Spaceballs. It's going to be a potluck sci-fi comedy fun night, and we're just going to joke around and have a good time. So 8:15 this coming Monday night. Check my channel, like, subscribe. I have broken over 200 subscribers. I have 207. Nice. 207. I have gone from 120 last weekend, but last Friday night, and someone gave me a couple little tips, and I started saturating with the shorts, and I'm picking up subscribers and views like crazy, and my channel's growing, and I'm very grateful. And last night we had a successful stream of my friend Mr. Nobody, and it was a great time. And with that being said, I'm going to bounce out of here, guys, get my stuff sorted out, and I will definitely see you all next week and everything. And I apologize, Jill and Scotty, that I'm unable to complete my tasks today.
No apology necessary. Your personal health. Hey, if you don't take care of this, we don't have it next week. So you take care of you first and foremost, Joe.
Exactly. Right. See you next time. And there we go, Jedi Master. Thank you to Jedi Master for being here when he can, and hopefully everything goes well with his tests.
Mm-hmm.
And
shall I read the closing narration?
Please.
Or do you want to do it?
I was actually going to do it.
You go.
It was a small. You'll get the closing for the next one.
All right, sounds good.
It was a very small, misery-laden village on the day of a hanging, and of little historical consequence. And if there's any moral to it at all, let's say that in any quest for magic and any search for sorcery, witchery, legerming, first check the human heart, for inside this deep place is a wizardry that costs far more than a few pieces of gold. Tonight's case in point in the Twilight Zone. Yeah,
a lovely story.
Yeah, a lovely ending. Lemon Pie says, good luck to Jedi Master 2022. Agreed. Absolutely. And we're going to talk about Back There next, is the next episode.
Well, I'm looking forward to. Well, okay. I'm not gonna spoil what I voted for. So, but it's always nice to see Russell Johnson. I think he's handsome, and I think he would have done much better had he avoided the island.
Gilligan's Island.
And it's nothing against Gilligan's Island. I love Gilligan's Island, but whenever I see
Me too.
Russell Johnson, well, I like the first season of Gilligan's Island. Everything else, it just turns into a cartoon, but whatever. It's like I've always had this thing where, and it started off when I was younger, where people were like, oh, they don't like the fact that they're known for only one actor or one character, and they're spiteful. And then as I got older and I would read things about it, and they either got over it or it was just something that was intended as common knowledge. And it was like, oh no, he's angry that he was the professor on Gilligan's Island. Not the same way Tina Louise does. Like Tina Louise is just like, get it off my lawn. But I like from people who are known for one character and that is their career, they have been grateful for it. And I think that there must have been a point of stinging when Russell Johnson was known as Professor Grumby. But like, I do think that had he avoided that particular project, I think he would have done more things because he's very charismatic. He's not in any way unbelievable, and I think he's fantastic as an actor. And it's a shame that the only thing I get to review with him on a regular basis to see his acting chops is Gilligan's Island. It's kind of like with Robert Downey Jr. I'm so happy Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark Iron Man, but I also like going back to when before he was Iron Man and the few instances where he's played something different after Iron Man. But I just feel like there are so many unique performances that the MCU robbed Robert Downey Jr. of. And I would have liked to have seen him do something more than just play Tony Stark. And that's the same way. Like, that's the same way I feel about Russell Johnson. And yes, that means that I am comparing the MCU to Gilligan's Island.
Those
both
poor
were entertainment
people.
For children.
Yes, the typecasting, that is a thing that actors do get upset about. But Gavin says better to be remembered for one thing rather than nothing, I suppose.
Absolutely.
And
No
And so
argument whatsoever.
if no one knows why we're talking about Russell Johnson right now, it's because he's in this episode. It's called
Oh,
Back
Gavin's
There.
right. Yeah, totes.
We've got an episode here. And Robert Downey Jr. was great in Oppenheimer. Yeah, that is a good point. Yes.
Well, and how can you
There it goes.
take the most charismatic personality in the last 15 years of cinema and turn him into a, pardon my French, fucking asshole? Well, you get a good actor to do it, and you kind of lose the personality of both Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. in the performance. And I think that he did do a great job. And while there are a lot of people who poo-poo the validity of the modern Academy Awards, I think that is one where people say, "Oh, he only won an Oscar because he's so popular because of the MCU." I don't think so. He was already nominated for an Oscar twice before, and I think that this is just the fruition of sort of shuffling off his matinee idol image and playing someone truly despicable or spiteful. Maybe not despicable, but spiteful. Kind of like the Salieri of Oppenheimer.
In any case, I agree he's a great actor. But let's get back to Russell Johnson.
The Twilight
We're
Zone?
talking about a Twilight Zone episode. Am I even loud? Am I
Oh,
too
yeah,
soft?
no, I can hear you. I'm just talking too much. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just checking. So Back There aired on January 13th, 1961. It was written by Rod Serling and directed by David Ulrich McDiarmid. And so then this episode begins outside of what is called the Potomac Club.
Potomac.
And the Potomac Club, yeah, the Potomac Club. They're arguing on the nature of time travel. And this episode has yet another Peter. Last episode was Peter Sykes. He was an asshole. This time it's Peter Corrigan, and he's an engineer who goes to a fancy gentleman's club, and they're arguing about stuff. And in this case, it's time travel. And
well, but it's not like, and I do appreciate, and we'll get to it when we get to the opening narration. But I like that this is just a hypothetical conversation. It has nothing to do with, gentlemen, I have invented it. No, it's just like, what would you do?
Oh, right. Yes, this isn't the time machine where he's like, I've made a time machine and I'm going to take you guys with me. Wait a minute. I've heard of this one before. But
well, it reminds me so much of Time After Time, Nicholas Meyer's movie, where it's H.G. Wells, played by Malcolm McDowell, sitting around with his contemporaries saying, in a hypothetical way, what would you do if you could travel through time? And then you find out that, yeah, there is a time machine. But I like how this is just something that is an intellectual exercise as opposed to a plan.
Yeah, they're just having a friendly debate, and it's just the age-old question: is the past malleable or not? And Peter says no, it's not, and the other guy says it can be if you play your cards right. And some modern time travel theorists say you can't change the past because if you do go back, you'll spawn a whole new timeline anyway. So no matter what, this is yet another episode that used to be a different script. And I think I like how it was originally conceived better, but I'm not going to tell you guys until we read the closing narrations for this one.
All right.
So there's a different story that happened, but we're going to focus on this story first. And I'm going to read the opening narration. You'll read the closing.
Sounds good.
Witness a theoretical argument. Washington, D.C. The present. 4 intelligent men talking about an improbable thing like going back in time. A friendly debate revolving around a simple issue. Could a human being change what has happened before? Interesting and theoretical, because whoever heard of a man going back in time? Before tonight, that is, because this is the Twilight Zone. And And so Gavin says, I would give my younger self a sporting almanac 2000 to 2050. Yes, and if you're in the same exact timeline, that would make sense. But if you end up in a different timeline, then it might not be accurate anymore. So it just depends on what actually happens when you go back in time. And as soon as somebody builds the machine, no, it's probably not. It's not scientifically possible. As Corrigan says, this is all theoretical. I'm gonna leave the time travel to H.G. Wells, says Corrigan. And since no one has gone back in time, I find the whole blame subject much too theoretical anyway. So that is Peter's conclusion. And so that
Sorry,
is,
I have to go use the water closet. I'll be back in just 1 second.
yeah.
But I'm going to be back.
Take
I'm
your
going to be
time.
back. Yeah, interesting choice of words considering the episode. Hopefully, I'll be back before I left.
Okay, so he bumps into a server with the teacup. His name is William, so we point out his name, so we know he's going to be important. And it is April 14th, 1961. And so we've got Peter. He thinks the past is immutable, but also no one's ever done it, so it's too theoretical for him. And he walks out. Oh man, can't believe. Well, then as he walks out, his vision gets blurry as he steps out of the door. And the Twilight Zone has such funny methods of time travel. Very seldom does a time travel in the Twilight Zone involve a machine. The last time we saw Russell Johnson, it did involve a machine, but this time it didn't. And last time he didn't do the time traveling. It was somebody else. But this time he's time traveling, and all he had to do was talk about time traveling, walk outside. So he was just having a conversation with his friends. He leaves the club, and then he's time traveled for some reason. He's been sent back to 1865 just because it got all foggy and hazy. It kind of seems like a bit of a lazy time travel method. I'm gonna ask Scotty what he thinks of this particular time travel method when he comes back. So let me highlight this so I remember to go back to it later, since I want his opinion on it too. And so Rod looks comfortable in that winged back. Yeah, he did. He did. Hey, look at that. It's the dead man's here. Hey, dead man. Never alter the future for financial gain. Wait a minute. Altering the future? That is exactly what business people do. If the future, well, if they can't control the future, but they can put things in their favor, possibly, including gambling. Oh yeah, you know what's funny is doing gambling in a video game. You can keep playing and resetting the save, and then if I want more caps, I that's exactly what I need to do. But it feels kind of like cheating, so I haven't done it yet. Mage Grey Wolf says this is how time travel worked in the Twilight Zone movie. Okay, really just phasey, because at least in The Walking Distance, you had the carousel that was spinning in the convenience store, and then you had the actual carousel with the horses and everything that was spinning that did the time travel. So something was spinning in the episode, The Last Flight, the one that was kind of like Yesterday's Enterprise. You had to fly through the clouds to time travel. And this one is just hazy, fuzzy things happening. But also good to see you, Mage Grey Wolf. And so here we're seeing this lamp from 1961, and we're seeing it change to a lamp from 1865. It looked like they use the same exact lamp, and now this one is just gas instead of the electric one. And we even have Peter's clothes, not just that, but also Peter's clothing changes to fit the time also, which is strange. Usually the time traveler isn't really affected, but in this case, his wardrobe is changed. And so that made me wonder, does he have a whole life in this time period if his clothing has changed? Has his actual occupation changed? Has his entire life changed? This kind of makes me spiral into that kind of rabbit hole of what exactly was altered in this pushback in the past. Oh, you're back. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about time traveling just by wavy, kind of fog? It just gets foggy and hazy and he's just suddenly in 1865 and his clothing has changed.
Well, in this particular instance, I'm going to chalk it up to the Twilight Zone. So I'm fine with it. Having an intellectual conversation about the relevancy and the practical application of time travel, and then as he passes through the doorway and travels through time, and he's the naysayer, which I think is interesting. He's the one who's like, no, they're because they're talking specifically about they're talking specifically about the Black Friday, Black Tuesday, whatever day the Great Depression started with the bottoming out of Wall Street. And he's like, that is a fixed point in history. We can't change that. And so I like how he is certain in his idea. And then when confronted with his own hypothesis, he's determined to change history. Like I just chalk it up as being the Twilight Zone.
Well, in this case, he's been flummoxed by these changes, and so he's trying to rush home. And he sees the horses and the carriages, and that makes him even more upset. he finds his old apartment building.
Did you bring up
that he used to live in?
Who did the score for this? Because I think that
Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah, my biggest. I love the sense of dread, or at least confusion and change, as being really driven home by the score of this episode. And so knowing that a lot, as you were talking with Jedi Master last night about the last time that Jazzy Johnny Williams did a score for Lost in Space, aside from the opening theme.
Oh, you were listening.
Mm-hmm. And but I think that hearing their work early on, as sort of television workhorses, as everyone was in this burgeoning field, I really think that it is outstanding work in orchestration and tone.
It gives it horror movie vibes.
Well, it is kind of scary.
It is so frightening for Peter. And he talks to, well, I was going to say landlady, but apparently they used to be called chambermaids if you're talking 1865 talk.
Dirty.
Yeah, I know, chambermaid sounds like a whole different thing. But that's what they used to be called. And she's not very welcoming until he says he's an engineer. Then, she sees dollar signs. Suddenly she's happy.
Oh, that's too bad.
What's too bad?
I'll tell you when we get there. We have to travel through time
happy
for me to explain it.
This is how time travel worked in the movie. Oh yeah, I haven't watched the movie yet. Season 1, episode Execution had a time machine. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. And that same one also had Russell Johnson in it. Is that the name of the episode? I guess I'll believe you. Yeah, Execution. And yeah, it had Russell Johnson, and he was a scientist who created the time machine. that brought back that guy who was about to be hanged. And the guy who had killed 20 people, and he wrecks mayhem on the city.
Well, and I like that we're covering these 2 episodes today. It harkens back to that episode, just in terms of we both get a hanging or an attempted hanging, although it is successful in a roundabout way in the previous in execution. But so we get a hanging in this review, and then we also get Russell Johnson as a time traveler in this review, and it all just gets it is. If you're going to watch 3 episodes in a row of the Twilight Zone, I would say do the execution, Dust, and back there.
Yeah, they all tie together really well. It is a good trilogy. That would be a neat idea, is put Twilight Zones into trilogies, and there are several of those you can do that with, I'm sure. So Peter is listening to this couple. They're going to a play, and Peter knows exactly what's happening. They kind of spell it out pretty easily. Like, they sort of smash you in the head with it. Hey, we're going to this play. Yeah. They're kind of like, hey, Lincoln's going to be there. Oh, hold on just a moment. I am required. Hey.
Fair enough. I can hold fort. But yeah, and I do appreciate, like, it's one of those, if you're going to go back in time for it to be useful, as Gavin said, I think it was Gavin who said, I would give myself a book from the sports almanac from 2000 to 2050. At this point, if you're caught off guard and thrown backwards in time, you're pretty much at the whims of your own memory. Like, I wouldn't know off the top of my head the date of the assassination of Lincoln. I don't know that subject. And so I like how Corrigan does have to, like, this seems familiar. Why do I know? You're going to see a play? Oh, okay. The president, you say? What's the date? What year? And so this is, I think that this is a realistic depiction of a person who is thrown back in time. Oh, Gavin. Yeah, I could. The glove cleaner says Jerry Goldsmith was one of the greats. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that he does provide a lot of atmosphere for this. Mage Grey Wolf, hello, says, I have outlined for third the Time Machine story following Stephen Baxter's The Time Ships. My knowledge of time travel storytelling usually has more to do with the characters and the drama that unfolds surrounding the mechanic than it does with the actual mechanics of time travel. It's kind of like faster than light travel. I enjoy that. Humanoid aliens, oh, for sure, because, they're people in makeup. And when time travel is a thing, like, what was it? Stephen Hawking threw a time traveler's party when he was still with us and no one showed up. And it's like, well, there you go. Unless, of course, the time travelers knew that you can't show up to such a thing. Fame, fortune, we can't ask for this. We must only pursue time travel in the name of science. But a lot of the time, when it comes to time travel, it's an interesting idea so that you can either reflect on modern day issues in the future or the past, or it is somewhat of a character study to find out more about the people who are protagonists and antagonists. When it comes to time travel, it's what's the word? It's hogwash. It's a bunch of bullpucky. It has no bearing. And once you start, as much as I enjoy like Back to the Future, as much as I enjoy the Time Machine, as much as I enjoy like the is it the Philadelphia Experiment with Nancy Allen? Like, all these things are just, or the Final Countdown. I do end up going back to Looper, where Bruce Willis is explaining to Bruce Willis. Actually, it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt asking Bruce Willis. It's like, so how does this work? And Bruce Willis, I was very angry at it at the time. I'm still very angry at it now. It's like, I'm not gonna explain time travel to you. Just sitting around with a bunch of straws. Nothing's gonna make any sense. And I think that's, how does time travel work? Well, the answer for the audience and everyone who is a rational human being says it doesn't. It's basically just it's set dressing to be able to tell a far more interesting story. And to think that you have a mastery on something that is completely impossible is delusional. But I do like thinking about it. Like, well, I was thinking about, I was watching a clip from Lower Decks. I know, boo this man. But I was watching a clip from Lower Decks, and they reference Captain Morgan Bateson, who famously, in Cause and Effect, came through a time rift and destroyed the Enterprise several times, but then was eventually brought to the 24th century. And I was like, well, Star Trek people know how to travel back in time. They can slingshot and go back. So Morgan Bateson and the crew of the Bozeman can go back. But then it's like, because, slingshot effect and all that jazz. But then does that mean that the Bozeman was never, was the Bozeman lost? Can we send them back? There's a lot of stuff that ends up being, okay, how do we work this up? But as the ever so intelligent and lovely Miles O'Brien once said, temporal mechanics, it gives me a headache. So yeah, it's a great way to be able to lampshade the mechanic and the conceit of the story, but I don't think it's the primary crux of it. Like Planet of the Apes, as Jedi Master brought up with Beneath the Planet of the Apes, is the time travel really that important, or is it just a way to say the ridiculous callousness of man is what will be its own demise? Same deal with the Terminator. Like, how do you stop something from happening? Well, in the end of all of the Terminator movies, you can't. Even if you do go back, you can't really change it. You can save a life, and that's what happens here. This is almost an interesting deal with trying to maintain the family. Slasher Fred, so good to see you. Glad you can make it. Jill has just stepped away for a moment, but she will return shortly. Slasher Fred says, back there is sort of what if you could go back and try to prevent a tragic event in history? Yeah, well, but it isn't. I agree. That is the crux of it. What if you could do that? But Corrigan doesn't have an intention to do that. He just finds himself thrust into events of the past. Yeah. And also, I do like this, and maybe it's because of when it was released, and maybe it was because of the in terms of when it was released. So shortly after World War II, and 15 years is shorter than where we view it from now. But everyone now always says, oh, well, if you could go back in time and kill Hitler. And it's like, I like this idea, because it's, what if you could go back and save Lincoln? And so there's less of an immediate gratification of going back to save Lincoln than the person who says, what if we can go back and kill one of history's greatest villains? And it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe no, I'm not going to speculate, because it'll just rain down hellfire on me. But yeah, I like it. I like it. Gavin says, if I could go back in time, I would avoid my ex-wife at that party I met her at. I was, and that was something that I had in my mind as well. Like I was a, oh, something's going on. But I was a banker in the late 2000s. And if I hadn't met my paramour of the time, I would have had one of the greatest adventures of my entire life. And so even though we are not together and I don't hold her in very high regard, I'm still glad I met her so that I could go on that adventure, and we had a great time at the time. Gavin Blackburn says Stephen Hawking proved Stephen Hawking. I am Canadian, so we'll let it pass. Stephen Hawking proved there is no time travel by holding a party for time travelers and advertising it a week later. Agreed. And I've heard people say that they want to develop the time machine so that they can go and attend that party. And the only downside about that is, well, if you do, you would have already attended. So, paradoxes, but that's also because we're discussing something that is impossible. It's a great storytelling, but it's not real. It's not real. You got to mix in a little reality with your fantasy from time to time. Gavin says, I could go back and pre-order a She-Hulk doll. Yeah. I'm still on the pre-order. I'm still on the waiting list. But I don't think it's coming out. I think that there are legal issues. But that's cool. Oh, Mage says, my story follows a new character named John, brought to you from the year 807,704, where he meets the time traveler who is bringing people in from different timelines to build a new community for the Eloi. That's fun. That's fun. There you go. Gavin says, he went back in time for the sideburns. True.
I'm so sorry that took so long. It was a cause of minor distress. Nothing too terrible, but it was just her tablet wasn't doing the thing she wanted it to do, and I had to do something to fix it.
Junk it.
Yeah. I may end up doing that. The thing doesn't have an audio output, so she can't use headphones, unfortunately.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to happen. I forgot that so many devices these days are made without audio ports. And
yeah.
What kind of evil world are we into nowadays where we don't get audio?
Thank ports? Apple. Thank Apple.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not. That's rude.
I'll blame Apple. Why not? They're a good scapegoat. Sure.
I am glad that Steve Jobs is no longer with us.
Oh, no, that's not what I even said at all. One bit.
I didn't say you said that. I'm saying
Steve Jobs. He was still a great inventor.
Oh, yeah, no, totally. But he was an asshole.
But the glove cleaner said I would go back and change the results of Game 6 and the 85 World Series. And yes, I do know the bigger inventor was Wozniak. So
and the Dead Man.
Me on that. And the Dead Man. Thank you so much for this super chat. Have you read this already?
No, this is your job.
The Dead Man says for $1.99, quantum entanglement is a real thing. Look it up. And okay. Yes, they've actually created computers using quantum mechanics. And that is kind of crazy. I don't know if anybody's actually using it in a personal respect, but they use it in laboratories.
Yeah. But for the overview, quantum entanglement is the phenomenon where the quantum state of each particle in a group cannot be described independently of the state of others, even when the particles are separated by a large distance. Sure. I don't see how that has anything to do with, like other aspects of quantum science, the phenomenon of entanglement reveals itself at very tiny subatomic scales. When two particles, such as a pair of photons or electrons, become entangled, they remain connected even when separated by vast distances. Yes.
That method of explaining it makes more sense.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with time, though. That has more to do with distance. That has to do with the relation between.
But you never know how things are connected. And that's how we end up with things from the Twilight Zone. But
yeah,
the science of the very small is very different from the science of us. Like, because you can do stuff in the quantum world you can't do in this world. So I know we're all the same world, but things do behave differently when things are very, very tiny. Slasher Fred says the 2002 reboot series did an episode similar to Back There, where the main protagonist tries to prevent the assassination of Dr. King.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always so upset at that one. Yeah, I'd like to see that. And a lot of TV shows, movies have done this kind of thing. But
Well,
we got to play a video for the Dead
Yes.
Man. I've been.
Are you
Let's see.
spinning
I'm
the
just gonna.
wheel, or are you just?
I'm
choosing
not
one
going to spin the
willy-nilly?
wheel. I'm just going to choose one this time.
All right.
Let's see. I don't think I have any time travel ones, unfortunately.
Marty.
Well, well,
Come with me if you want to live.
I'll just do Star Trek 4 ones then.
That makes sense.
I love that one so much.
Hello, computer.
They like you very much, but they are not the hell your whales.
I think you did a little too much LDS.
LDS?
Oh yeah, there's going to be drugs in this episode once we get a chance to actually talk about it. So let's talk about it. Let me find my place again. And so, of course, he's disturbed by the play. He knows he has the possibility of doing something about it. And so he knows he's got to make it to Ford's Theater. And so he tries to bang on the stage door. He couldn't think of a more subtle way to do this. He couldn't think of like trying to steal a ticket or something. He's got to bang on the stage door. So obviously, he seems like a maniac. And he's sent to the police station. I think for such an intelligent guy, he sure didn't really think this one through.
Well, it's also a matter of desperation, though, right?
Sure. Yeah, I guess the modern analogy is if I could warn people about 9/11 and save all those 3,000 lives, I might be desperate too, and people probably think I'm insane also.
And it was a sunny morning on September 11th, 2001, and every individual who worked at the World Trade Center called in sick. It was the largest mass ailment in the history of the world, but luckily, everyone survived.
Yeah, if only.
Well, I know, but it is now you're changing the last 24 years of history.
Mm-hmm.
Or someone shows up and says, you can't let these guys on the plane.
Right, exactly.
You're a madman, Professor from Gilligan's Island.
No, nobody from Saudi Arabia is allowed on this plane.
I thought they were from Yemen.
I'm pretty sure.
I really don't want to get into a 9/11 conversation. I'm just being flippant.
I think they might have been from I was right, Saudi Arabia, but also probably some other nation. Lebanon, yeah, there's Lebanon too. And whatever. Bad people. Anyway, this particular plot of going back to 1865 to try to stop the assassination of Abraham Lincoln was explored on radio a couple of times. Because I think somebody was mentioning a similar story in the chat. There's lots of similar stories. And one was on Mutual's The Mysterious Traveler. And then The Man Who Tried to Save Lincoln. So this was of a scientist who figures out how to transfer a man's thoughts back into time. So not traveling the whole person back in time, but his thoughts to occupy another man's body. A bit of a thought possession.
That's
and
kind of
the
like
time.
Quantum Leap.
Yeah, it is. If he finds himself in the body of John Wilkes Booth. Oh yeah, that is a lot like Quantum Leap, except Quantum Leap would never change a big historical event.
No, but they
Managing.
do, because in an episode of Quantum Leap, two-parter actually, Sam leaps back into Lee Harvey Oswald.
Oh, dude, yeah, but do they? What's the outcome? I don't remember.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't think we ever got around to reviewing it. I don't know if you've seen it.
No,
So I don't
we
want to spoil it.
abandoned that show. Anyway, this has been done before, but we're doing it again. So yeah, so he's taken to. I kept putting police captain in my notes, but for 1865, I should have been calling him the sergeant.
More mustaches.
Yeah, more mustaches.
Oh wait, no, not him. Not him.
Not him. Well, no, just the sideburns. And so then a mysterious man shows up at the police station, and he's just like, "Hey, can I put Peter in my custody?" Who has that kind of power? Like besides Buckaroo Banzai, I thought is what kind of pull do you actually have to just say, or is that just a thing you could do in 1865? That person, let me put that person into my custody. I will take care of them.
Well, he hasn't been like Corrigan hasn't been doing anything really illegal except for being, disrupting the public peace. He hasn't assaulted anybody. He hasn't done anything.
Apparently, the sergeant just put him in a drunk tank. He thinks he's just wasted.
Makes sense.
And
but also, like, and I was wondering, I was like, who is this guy? How can he do it? But he shows up with such authority, and he's wearing a cloak. He looks like a man of affluence, which I suppose, I don't know how John Wilkes Booth was at the time. He was an actor. Maybe he had fame, maybe he had money that I don't know. And so for someone to show up and say, that man that you just took into custody, I remit him to my overseeing. Maybe that's a thing you could do. Again, we're talking about pencil and paper era here. We're not talking about anybody who knows anyone specifically. I don't even know. No, there wouldn't have been phone books. There were no phones. So just someone if someone walks in with an authority and says, I can take care of this.
Your rapport is determined by your dress, and he was dressed right.
Exactly.
And he kind of gave me like detective vibes, but I was like, oh, is he a detective? But no, he wasn't. And he calls himself Wellington, but you've let the cat out of the bag. This is actually John Wilkes Booth, as you said already. Mm-hmm. But Wellington gives Kerrigan a drink. Peter wants to know who he is, but all he will say is, I'm your benefactor and I'm your only friend. And Wellington reveals that the play doesn't start for 45 minutes, and he wants to steady Peter. And he thinks the president will be. He wants to study why Peter thinks the president will be assassinated. And since, of course, this is John Wilkes Booth, he is acting. He is pretending to be a psychologist, a psychologist. I don't know how early in the history of psychology, in terms of when it was a big deal.
Well, but I don't even think the earliest I can go back and think of would be like Freud.
Yeah, Freud is what you think too.
But even Wellington, like when he says to Corrington, he's like, I studied the medicine of the mind, and Corrigan says, oh, like psychiatry. And he's like, I'm not familiar with that term. So I don't know. Even
so if Freud is like the founder of psychology, then he's not even like a teenager yet. So
but even with Freud, it was psychoanalysis. It wasn't even Like it wasn't psychiatry.
So I guess in these stages, their method of helping people is what he does here: drug them and make them go to sleep.
Well, the only person who knows about his plot.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
exactly.
I'm surprised he didn't
Exactly.
kill him.
Right, he doesn't kill this guy. That is well, I guess maybe he thinks the drugs he's giving him is strong enough. We never find out exactly what he drugs him with.
By the way, who has a decanter of poison?
John Wilkes Booth. I think if
Then
anybody would have
he's
a decanter of
probably
poison.
he's probably a date grapist.
Well,
But considering he's an
stretch.
assassin of one of the most memorable presidents in U.S. history, then putting him into sort of that taking advantage of young women with sleepy pills.
I love
Not the worst-
Russell
not the worst
Johnson's
thing.
face when he realizes that he's been had, that he's been drugged, that he's been and Wellington pretends that he's doing this for his own good.
Oh, Gavin, that's not a bad call. 1800s Coca-Cola? I'm fine with that because it was stronger. Laudanum. Oh, man, all you people know how to make a
Laudanum.
person succumb to a beverage. I'll stick with the PBR. Thank you.
I'm having a Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I just mean in general. I'm not saying I'm pounding PBR.
I didn't say you were.
Allegedly. Yeah, well, maybe I tipped my hand.
Well, yeah, and before we knew it was John Wilkes Booth, I was thinking, oh, okay, that's why he let Peter go, because this is the psychologist, but no. Or whatever they used to be called.
You know what I thought he was?
What did you think it was?
I thought he was another time traveler.
Oh, yeah, that might make sense because he seemed to know the plight of. He seemed to be in kindred spirits with Peter somehow. But it was all just fake.
I thought
Which
it was going
works.
to reaffirm what he was saying. And it's like, this is a fixed moment in time. You can't do this.
Yeah, but this trick works because Booth is an actor. And Corrigan is trying to get up as much as he can. Of course, he passes out. And he's crawling. Oh, wait, here's the theater. He has to hit it for a second. And he's trying to get up, but he can't. This kind of, it could also have been ether, because I've learned from Fear and Loathing. It kind of reminds me of that. The fact that he can't even control his motor skills at all.
Yeah, but you don't drink ether. You inhale it. You inhale the fumes.
Oh. See, I don't know drugs.
Good.
But it feels like...
Good for you.
Good for me. But it kind of has a similar effect. He can only crawl, so he crawls to the door.
Well, and it is. I think it's great acting from.
It is.
But I think it is more to show that he is still, even under the debilitating effects of the medication, he's still trying to do something that is supremely important.
Mm-hmm.
He'll fight through the poisoning.
He has been trying to fight, but he passes out again. He does not succeed until a lady opens the door for the policeman who believed him back at the station. Because I forgot, I think I missed one line where the policeman was like, this guy, he's really serious about this. Maybe we should look into it. And the sergeant says something like, no, if you believe any old drunkard all the time, you're never going to move up in this you're not going to move up in this business, or I don't remember exactly what he says.
Yeah, and
it's service.
But it also does make sense. Like, there is something to law enforcement that asks of you to dismiss a certain level of empathy. Like, you do have to say, well, and we saw it in the last episode when we saw it in Dust. Hey, Poopas. But like, I think there is something about these are the laws, you have to adhere to them. And if you start feeling empathetic towards anybody who is disrupting societal norms, then you're not going to be a very good law enforcement officer. If you start empathizing with panhandlers, or if you start thinking that the person who steals a loaf of bread is doing it for their own survival, it doesn't matter. We have laws in place to make sure that people's personal property are respected. And so there is a certain level of empathy that is bred out of you once you engage in that particular vocation.
Yeah, that makes sense. And having to have a detached kind of outlook on that.
Yeah,
kind of reminds me of House. You know, you can't really trust a whole lot. You've got to be objective. So the glove cleaner says maybe if Lincoln had read the reviews of Our American Cousin, he would never have been in the theater. I never saw Our American Cousin. He also
neither did
leaps into
Lincoln.
Elvis.
He missed the ending.
Wait. Yeah, I haven't seen all of Quantum Leap. Slasher Fred said, oh yeah, that's right. Slasher Fred said, if you ever watched the episode Time Element, which is from the series Desilu Playhouse, which is sort of a Twilight Zone pilot, the main protagonist tries to warn about the Pearl Harbor attack.
Oh, Slasher Fred, you got to check out the Final Countdown. It's from like 1980 or 1981, and it's got Charles Durning, Martin Sheen, Kirk Douglas, and it's an aircraft carrier that goes back in time like three days before Pearl Harbor, and so it's a modern aircraft carrier, like a nuclear aircraft carrier with F-15 jets and everything. And they go back in time, and they're like, we can stop Pearl Harbor. It's great. It's a little cheesy, but it's great if you like a time travel story about, oh, we can stop this terrible thing from happening, and then people have difficulties.
Yeah, well, that would be difficult. That's like if the Enterprise D went back with the C to do that in yesterday's Enterprise. That would be terrible. But maybe it's better in the Final Countdown.
Yeah. It is like the Final Countdown is, if you're interested in doing a time travel movie, that one is really good.
Jason Love says
implications. Sorry.
Damn
Jason.
Professor's messing with time. See, Jason, the professor, well, he's not the professor here. He's an engineer. He didn't mean to go back in time. He just argued with his friends about time and walked outside and was thrust into back in time. Were they called alienists at this time? I'm not sure. In fact, let's build a time machine and bring back a few cases of Coca-Cola.
That I am fine with. Yes. What was it? I had a conversation with someone recently. Maybe it was with you on a shore leave, and it was like the entire reason that we should make a time machine is just so we can go back in time and get no longer created soft drinks.
Tab. It was Tab.
But now that you mention it, I do want some of the cocaine Coca-Cola.
Oh my god!
Just to see what it was like.
Just to try it, yeah, right.
Yeah,
just one.
And all of a sudden, I'm jonesing for it, and I'm going back in time like every 2 weeks, and it's like I need more Coca-Cola.
Stratopupus, Cuber, hello, humans and other critters. Hello. Well, no, that Coca-Cola wouldn't that have woken him up, not knocked him out.
Yeah, but if you're not used to it, you're going to be all in haze. He even says, it's like, I've never felt like this way before. I've been drunk, but this is worse.
Well, Loss of basic motor functions, village drunkard, as a certain gonzo writer would say. Oh, yeah.
True.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking,
And the
too.
worst thing about this devil ether is that you can see yourself doing these things, but you can't control it.
Mhm. Oh, hey, I don't know if I've met you before. Monk of Magnesia. Thank you.
Hey,
Why
Monk.
was Lincoln in the theater watching a play when it was Good Friday? He should have been home praying. This was April 14th, 1865, a Good Friday?
I don't know. You want me to look it up? Or are you doing it?
I'm doing
Now,
it.
first things first. Everyone knows that Christmas
Oh, yeah,
Day.
it was. Wow.
Christmas Day is one of the biggest days in the theater-going world in modern cinema. It's because nothing else is open, and you can go to the movies. So I would assume it's the same situation when it comes to older entertainments as well. If you have an audience hungry for entertainment, then there's no reason to stay at home by yourself. Also, a congregation is a congregation. I just assume we're all God-fearing people. Unless you're Amish or Mormon or something like that, and you feel that you have to sit there by candlelight praying. That's your business, and I respect it. I was a man who was
Sorry about that. I was
raised.
helping my baby.
No, that's fine.
I'm
I'm a man who
unlearn-
was raised by Christ, but also come on. Jesus is my homeboy. He carries me over sand when I'm in times of trouble. He's not saying like, no, don't listen to music on the day that I died. Don't worry about it. Wait 2 more days. I'll get better.
Kronos says, I don't like zones. Well, I like you, Kronos, and I'm glad you're
I like
here
you,
and that you.
Kronos.
Yeah, and I'm glad he's unlurked. And yes. Thanks for that notice that it was on a Good Friday. Not such a Good Friday after all, huh?
Yeah,
I
bad
want to
Friday.
say either was used then in dentistry, well, 1860s to 80s.
Well, a lot of the recreational drugs that are prevalent throughout history, once dentistry started using them to ease pain, that's when it was like, you know what? You don't need a cavity to do this. Really? Well,
All right.
and doctors are the first to be afflicted with that particular addiction.
Well, unfortunately, they found better methods of doing that because ether can cause brain damage.
That explains it.
So, let's see. Okay, so he wakes up,
gets out of bed, draws a comb across his head.
and the police officer's been all over town trying to get a special guard for the president, and Peter tells him to go yourself, find out where he's sitting, and go alongside him. He'll be shot from behind. And Peter asks about Wellington, and the lady denies him that he's been there. And then Peter looks at the handkerchief, and it has an embroidery on it. JWB. And the realization comes to him that he's been tricked by John Wilkes Booth, that wily actor. And that's yeah.
James Winston Buckingham.
Yeah. So somehow, I don't know how he heard about this guy. Like, how did John Wilkes Booth hear about Peter Corrigan knowing about his assassination plans?
Well, I think
that's the only piece I can't put together.
I guess it's like a headcanon. It's kind of like context clues. If you were planning on assassinating Abraham Lincoln, all right, let's just say hypothetically, which is impossible for you to do because you don't have a time machine. But wouldn't you case out the joint a little bit? Wouldn't you be around there and be like, all right, I got to find out, and somebody's going to be there. I'm an actor. I can get in through the stage door, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Like, there would be a certain level of preparation that you would have involved. You're passionate about it if you're willing to commit murder in a public place. And so if you see somebody, as you're the only guy, you're the only person who knows that you're going to do this. And then you see the professor from Gilligan's Island show up, start pounding on the door and saying that the president is going to be killed. It's like, okay, this is a variable that I hadn't planned on. So I think that maybe he was sitting across the street, or he had heard about the scuffle, and
So
he was
gossip,
curious
just
about
gossip.
it.
See,
Yeah,
I
of
wish
course,
they would have
everything is
included
word
the
of mouth in
gossip.
here, especially in the theater.
Mm. Yeah, because part of me was also thinking, maybe he heard about it, and that gave him the idea to do it. But no, probably not. I'm sure this was long premeditated, based on historical evidences that he's been planning this for a while.
I
And
thought that this was funny, is that once the news is delivered that Lincoln had been shot, that must be stock footage from like Frankenstein or something, where it's like a bunch of people with torches.
yeah,
I was
I
like,
was
what?
wondering about this. Just did kind of seem out of place. I didn't. There was nothing in the book about this mob here. I didn't see, or at least I didn't notice it.
I guess
I
if
don't
you're
know where
gonna
they came
film
from.
it,
Yeah, you're
you
right.
have to. It looks more like just a normal congregation of people looking up. But if you want to make an angry mob, give them torches.
But then they're just all kind of upset. And they just have torches because it's dark outside, and it's 1865.
Yeah, okay.
And that's about it. This is they learn the news of the president being shot, and the policeman takes off his hat, and Kerrigan is upset, of course, because he says, "I tried to warn you. Why didn't you listen?" It's good stuff.
You damn dirty apes! You blew it all to hell. Anyway.
He does good
mixed
acting
like.
here, but we all
He
knew
does.
that Lincoln was going to be shot. There wasn't like any question about that.
Yeah, but I don't know. One of these times, like I still remember watching Inglourious Bastards for the first time, and then finally having it dawn on me that I was like, oh my God, this is Quentin Tarantino. Is he actually going to kill Hitler? And so it would be interesting as an O. Henry, as a I didn't realize that storytelling could create such fiction. It's like he does save Lincoln, and then he comes back and everything's terrible or something.
That's what I was thinking too. That was a possibility of saving him was going to turn out poorly. And he's back in the present, but the servant isn't William anymore. He's wondering where William went. And it turns out that William is now a member of the club. And the reason why is because his ancestor was that policeman who was running all over town trying to get police guard for the president.
Mm-hmm.
And just that one event rose him up in the ranks in the police force, and somehow he became a millionaire. And the wealth just continued into the family line to the point where William is no longer a servant, but one of the members of the club who hangs out and argues about time travel and other stuff.
Well, and I like that, and this is what is one of my favorite, two of my favorite. There's a lot of favorite things going on here. It was like, we were talking about time travel. And then one of the other guys playing bridge is like, yeah, we were. Shut up. That's over.
We're on a different tack now.
We're talking about something else now. Stop it. It was stupid to begin with, and we moved on. How do we make money?
Yeah. What's the best way to make money? And of course, William says, inherit it. Yeah, like as if people can choose to do that. Change the course of his family's history. Jason Love is right. That's exactly what happened here.
Yes.
If you think,
If you think what?
Mage Grey Wolf said, in terms of changing history, if you think Hitler's bad, you should seen the guy we took out who Hitler replaced.
Okay.
Well, what Major Gary Wolf is saying is that he traveled back in time and took out a guy who was worse than Hitler, and Hitler is still like I don't know how. It's pretty tall order to be worse than Hitler.
You could be Stalin.
Oh yeah, that's a good bet. Monk of Magnesia says Booth. Yeah, he was pretty bad. Booth had been working with several people in a conspiracy to kill Lincoln. Yeah, exactly. That's why I amended my initial thought. See, my initial thought would have made sense in a story without such a fixed history as this. In fact, the plan was not only to kill Lincoln, but VP Johnson and the entire cabinet. Plan fell apart at the last minute. Some of the conspirators were caught and tried and shot. Hung, not shot.
Hanged.
Oh.
Not
hanged,
hung,
yeah. Hanged is correct. But thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you, Monk of Magnesia. Yes. Yes, that's why I self-corrected and said, of course, the history says that Booth definitely did premeditate this crime. Sorry you don't like music. What? I like music. Huh?
I don't like music, color, or the Olympics. I'm not a big fan of water or the color green.
Monk of Magnesia says, did he change history or did he come back to an alternate reality? Well, that's a interesting question. Yeah, it's possible. When he went back in time, he's in a whole different timeline altogether, and he never went back to his original timeline. Or it's the same timeline. Who knows? But I think the original intent was malleable.
Okay. I do have a theory.
Sure.
Oh, you're supposed to say I thought you might.
What's your theory?
So he goes back. I know. I was hoping for a little bit. Anyway, moving on. So he goes back in time, meets William's father, and William is older than Corrigan, and he hasn't changed anything. Like the only thing he did was inspire an idea into William's father, which advanced his career. At which point I can assume or suppose that the policeman and his wife were still either going to meet, had met, and the progression of that family would still be sort of sanctified, like that it would still come to pass. In terms of the policeman advancing to where he gained his money, which William inherits, I don't think a whole heck of a lot would have changed. Also, considering if we're going to use the moral relativity of being a fan of the president and loyal to Lincoln, then he's probably, like, if we have to assume, he was probably a good guy. And then it doesn't change anything. And it's sort of the same thing as Back to the Future. Like Lorraine and George getting together, that was already going to happen. Marty messes it up briefly that ensures that they get back together, and therefore nothing really has been changed except for the standing in the community. And I think it applies here, is that it is just the standing in the community that policeman would have had.
But also the history of rock and roll.
Well, yeah, if you want to bring up Marvin Berry. But
Okay,
that
no,
doesn't
but-
occur here. It's not like the professor from Gilligan's Island goes in and jumps into the play, does a last action hero through the theater. I'm just saying it is plausible in my.
I was
in
waiting for
my-
that though. I wanted to see. I like actors who play Lincoln, so I was hoping for a Lincoln appearance in this one.
Who's your favorite Lincoln actor?
Well, here's the one I have on hand.
Here we are.
There's nothing good in war except its ending.
I don't know if I have a favorite though, but he's the one I have.
My favorite is from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, another time travel film.
Oh yeah, because that one was actually supposed to be Lincoln. This one is just Kirk's idea of who Lincoln was.
Yeah, he's an Excaliban creation.
Just like, yeah. So anyway,
Mhm.
I've got a super chat, so I've got to address that. Look at this. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, Old Man Bird, for $9.99. He says, "Hail, Mighty Jill fans! Snortopoopus, Cuber, thanks for coming back. We'll be back for the replay." Oh yes, I hope you do enjoy this on the replay. Thank you for dropping in and dropping some support. This really, really helps, and I appreciate you. And let's see. I think I will spin the wheel this time to see what we get.
Sure. While you're spinning the wheel, I'm just going to say to Greek Letters, who says, "Well, make up your minds. Time travel either works or it doesn't." It doesn't. But in the confines of the story, I'm just using the rules that are representative and trying to forgive the story for what they're trying to say. We have a character at the beginning of the story who says, "You can't change fixed moments in time." And as the closing narration says, yeah, there are a couple of threads that they don't unravel the tapestry, but they certainly add a little different flavor. So it isn't a binary question, but thank you for your input. Again, seriously, like gummy bears dancing here and there and everywhere have adventures beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. Are you saying that if I subscribe to it, I now have to deal with bears who drink gummy berry juice? What about the Keebler elves? Do I have to, I like these cookies? Like, there is no.
Why are you descending into bears, to Disney bears and cookies?
The reason I'm bringing this up is
elves?
because fiction is fiction, and if you're making shit up, you're making shit up. And if you want to believe in the story that is being told, you can subscribe to whatever you wish.
Yeah, I think people just like to have theories about how they think things should be, and and sometimes that takes them away from what the author actually intended,
or the story and the characters. The mechanics don't always
that.
make it that big of a deal. And the reason that I am taking umbrage, I suppose, if I'm being too passionate, I apologize. Greek Letters, you're rad. I don't want to start a war, but make up your minds. Time travel either works or it doesn't. I find the statement itself to be like, well, it works depending on the success of the story and what you're trying to convey.
Yeah, this particular one says that you can't change the big stuff, just the little stuff, and that feels again like Quantum Leap.
Right, exactly, and that's if I take all time travel stories out of all of fiction and put them all in one basket and say, well, this one didn't do that, and that one didn't do that, and why don't this do that, and malleable timelines and multiple universes. Like at a certain point, you got to be like, well, no, one was telling a story that was reliant on its own mechanics, and another was telling a story reliant on its own mechanics. They're in no way related, but because we're using the bumper sticker of time travel, we have to make it so that it's one cohesive science, which it is not. Hence, science fiction.
Yeah, some people see it differently. But before we read the closing narration, I want to play a few videos for the super chat we received from
Yes.
Old man bird.
He's safe. And you're safe, my little green friend.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
I wanted to keep this one a long time. He's pretty.
That the pleasure is in the learning of each other?
Thanks for the good company, says the glove cleaner, for $10. Wow, that is amazing.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you so much, the glove. You're really good company too, and I really enjoy your contributions that you send in the chat.
I gotta get some gloves.
Well, you remember what the glove cleaner is. You can't lose your nerve if you need to use it. Oh, okay. Here we go. I do like the clapping. But only I got to hear it because I muted my screen so that I could play some videos from First Contact. Because that's what you got here.
You broke your little ships.
Someone once said, don't try to be a great man, just be a man.
It's my first ray gun.
Assimilate this. Tough little ship. Little.
Someone is rich. Oh, Scotty, could you please read the closing narration for this episode? Because I think we're ready for that now. If you're still there. Or if I'm all alone. Hello? No? Okay, so can people in the volume is low?
Oh,
can you hear me, Cronus?
Is it?
Oh, the volume for the movie is low. What's low, Cronus? Okay, as long as you can hear me. I was trying to ask you to read the closing narration, and I thought
I'm here.
Something went dead.
No, that was my mistake. I was muted by accident.
Gotcha.
I was busy yelling. I'm kidding.
No, I don't. I agree with you. I mean, I believe you that you were yelling. Yes.
Yes. Mr. Peter Corrigan, lately returned from a place back there. A journey into time with highly questionable results. Hey, see, even Rod gets it. Proving on one hand that the threads of history are woven tightly, and the skein of events cannot be undone. But on the other hand, there are small fragments of a tapestry that can be altered. Tonight's thesis, to be taken as you will in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I think even he's struggling with, what he thinks about time travel, and this is a fun journey into that discussion. I think he's arguing with himself here. And I think as one of the pioneers of science fiction, that he's doing such a thing is really remarkable in this time period.
But what was the opening narration? A hypothetical argument.
Mm-hmm. A friendly debate among four intelligent men.
Yeah. It wasn't like, and that's why I enjoyed the beginning of it. No, I enjoyed that it was an intellectual exercise. And Corrigan was, I just read it. I should know the man's name. Corrigan was taken aback by the reality of the hypothetical discussion. It's great.
Yeah, well, and he was taken aback literally. So, like I said at the start of this one was yet another episode that used to be a different script, and I think the original conception was a little better. I think it's a little cooler. So in I read this from Unlocking the Door to a Television Classic. So it goes like this. We open with Lincoln attending Ford's theater. John Wilkes Booth takes a shot at him and either misses altogether or only wounds him superficially. Lincoln then goes on to face his bitter foes in the North and South, the hostile press, all the problems of Reconstruction. This kind of takes out the. This is me talk. This takes out the element of somebody interfering. It just happens differently this time. As defeat piles upon defeat, mess upon mess, his mighty spirit is all but crushed. Then one night he is called on by an unearthly visitor who offers him a chance, not to not go ahead, but backward in time, to be shot and killed that night by Booth. Lincoln, seeing this as cowardly, rejects this proposition, but the visitor argues eloquently that not only would this preserve Lincoln's enshrined and inspiring place in history, a consideration that does not sway him, but that also just possibly another man might grapple more successfully with the nation's post-war agonies. In the end, this persuades him, and he consents. The years are wiped out, and we are back at Ford's on that faithful night, and this time Booth's shot succeeds.
But that's
it's a little bit different, yeah.
Well, no, it's a good story. It's a good story, but it's also, I think it throws too many, I don't know, moral questions into the situation. Was Lincoln as good a president as everyone said, or was his martyrdom something that elevated him? And the same argument could be made about JFK. The same argument could be made about many people who have been assassinated, political leaders, social leaders that have been assassinated throughout history. Is it really because they were that good, or is it because that they were targeted and killed by people who we are told to perceive as being evil? They
might have been that good, but it looked like Lincoln was in particular convinced because he was told the person who came after him was really good at dealing with the post-Civil War mayhem that happened.
I wish I knew the history more to be able to debate it.
All the carpetbaggers and such. Who cares about Tapestry? Says, oh, I like Tapestry, but that's a different.
It's not a bad episode. I like it.
Ooh,
it's not my favorite.
I might review it one Christmas. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good
maybe
call.
Next year. Are we still getting the alternate story idea for back there, Joe? Oh yeah, no, that's it. No, I finished that already.
Yeah.
So the preview for next week is this, in the parlance of the 20th century, is a used car lot, a graveyard of some active ghosts who, by virtue of some exceptional salesmanship and an Indian rubber stretching the truth? I don't know what that means. What's the Indian rubber? I'm confused with that, but remain as commodities in a world that, by rights, they should have left generations ago. Mr. Jack Larson plays the role of a larceny-loaded con man, suddenly prevented from telling a falsehood. Oh, liar, liar. Next week on the Twilight Zone, a most bizarre tale that we will call The Whole Truth. The Whole Truth. Yeah, no, I saw this in a movie already called Liar, Liar. That'll be fun. Then also next week we bring you a show called The Invaders, written by Richard Matheson.
Nice.
In this room, you'll watch Miss Agnes Morad in a tension-riddled attempt to escape from a pair of very improbable housebreakers. This one we recommend to science fiction buffs, fantasy lovers, or anyone who wants to grip the edge of his seat and take a 24-minute trip into the realm of terror. So there we are. Those are our previews for next time. And so also something I want to do is make sure that we look at our poll.
Mm-hmm.
So because we've got to see what was chosen. It looks like most people chose Dust as their favorite episode.
Yeah.
Dust is that's a great choice. 59% over 41%. I agree. Because, back there was a little predictable, except for whoever played Booth was really good at deceiving. That was good. That part was good. And Russell's
How do you make
acting
John
obviously was
Wilkes
great.
Booth more of a villain?
Yeah. They did. They achieved that, definitely. D. Odyssey's here. Greetings. Dang, I slept through all of it. Yeah, you did, but you slept well, and now you're ready to face the day and take on the state of Illinois and fight for your right
To party?
to party. I wanted to put a different word there, but I couldn't find one. But I think I'm going to end the poll here. I think that's a good result because if I don't end it now, I always forget. So that's a good score right there. Which episode do you like more? Dust wins, and we'll see what wins next time. Next time we have The Whole Truth and The Invaders. I can't wait for those.
Looking forward.
Mm-hmm. I will party, just not with PBR, lol. Sorry, Scotty, had to.
Oh, no worries. More for me.
More PBR for Scotty. And well, I don't know. It's kind of funny that Deej is making fun of PBR when he drinks Fireball, and I kind of like Fireball though. It's kind of something. It's also like a much derided kind of drink.
Well, enjoy what you enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point. Mage Greywolf says the best part of waking up is going back to bed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and don't worry. Every morning that you wake up, it is inevitable that you will go back to bed. I believe it is a horoscope. You'll wake up, do a bunch of stuff, and then go back to bed. That is your horoscope
You know what?
for today.
I almost want to start a Chinese restaurant just so I can make horoscopes that are all things that are all going to happen to everybody. Yep. You will go to sleep.
You'll find yourself hungry, and then you'll ingest some nourishment. The hunger will subside. Your hair will grow. You will pursue someone to cut your hair.
You will have to pay your bills. But what if they never cut their hair or cut their nails? But unless you happen to die before you go back to bed, though, you could go to the bed of flowers then. Well, no, you're right. It is inevitable. You always go back to bed, but sometimes that is the eternal sleep. It's going to be some kind of bed. Raul Julia says, well, used to drink Fireball in high school. It was less gross than normal whiskey. Yeah, I like the cinnamon flavor. And you will find yourself hungry again in 2 hours.
This horoscope is cursed.
I'm happy with this. I guarantee that nothing is guaranteed. Oh, I like that one. You guys, you're helping me fill up my fortune cookies. What is a Kronos? I thought he was a robot for a while, but I'm not sure. So you picked Dust too, right? Yeah, you were happy that everybody picked Dust.
Yeah, no, I thought it said much more about, I don't know, belief in the human spirit, a level of empathy, a certain equation between victim and perpetrator. And the aesthetic. Whereas, the fantasy of back there, somewhat interesting, but also I used to like time travel.
I still like it sometimes.
Yeah. No, and it depends on the story. Like I hold the time travel stories in high regard, but when it comes to, I don't mind talking about aliens that are humanoid. I don't mind talking about faster than light. I don't even mind talking about time travel, but people take it so gull darn seriously about something that is fictional. It's like, you know what? I'm in here for the stories and the characters. And if you're going to start using a slide rule and an abacus to tell me why I'm not enjoying something correctly, then I think that you should go be versus a volcano.
He defiled it with dark magic.
Exactly. I agree. So that's how I feel about that.
I gotta recut that for Old Man Bird and get the full clip. DH Odyssey says, Kronos, I did a 3.5 hour live stream. Oh yeah, I was there. Blame Jill. I was almost gonna quit at 2 hours, but she kept me up later. Yeah, I did that. That was me. I'm pretty good at stretching a stream, but I think we've taken this one to its obvious conclusion. What do you think?
Oh yeah, let's go back in time. Let's start again.
Okay. Let's go back in time and have this whole live stream over again because it was so much fun.
Jedi Master, you'll be pulled away. Don't feel bad. But we
Yeah,
enjoyed your
don't feel
presence
bad.
while you were here.
Well, no, see, if we could go back in time, we could get his complete review of both stories in an encapsulated form before he left. That way we could know what he thought about these. Because he enjoyed them. He really liked both of these episodes. And he didn't get to talk about them. I know he's just as upset about that, but he's got to take care of himself. And I'm glad he made the choice he did.
I'll do my best. I'll
You'll
go
do your
back in
best.
time in a Honda Civic powered by lightning.
Oh, do you have to go 88 miles per hour?
No, well, I don't go miles per hour. I'm Canadian. We go kilometers an hour, so it's safer.
Kilometers are safer.
That's what I heard.
Yes, because you count by tens. I really do. I really won't be upset the day that we have to switch to the metric because
I don't think you ever are. And don't let Gorilla's Random Thoughts hear you say such blasphemy.
I don't care. I like metric. Anyway,
right.
Cronus, it's a measurement of science.
Yeah, it makes more sense to go by tens.
Go back in time. Okay, I'll head back to bed. Says Deej. And so thank you, Deej, for joining us here at the end of the show. Mage Greywolf for being here. Fortune cookie. You will do something later. I love all of these fortune cookies. I should save these and make them actual fortune cookies, but like I think you can do that. Can you? Like there's gotta be a company that lets you make your own. These are all hilarious.
I don't know. Let's start a Patreon for Jill's Fortune Cookie Company.
I don't know. Can I do that?
Start a fortune cookie company? Why not?
I don't know. There'd have to be something to it. They'd have to be really yummy fortune cookies, and they can't be stale. They can't be those kind that you eat them and then they're like, "Oh, this is gross." Got to be some high quality fortune cookies.
Big.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do have to go. I'm hearing a kerfuffle in the exterior of my studio. I have to go find out whether or not someone is punching a Shih Tzu. So,
okay. Take care of that. But first, before you go, tell us what you're doing on the internet, and if you can return it, that's great. If not, go.
The biggest things that I'm doing recently, like of course, subscribe to Cinema Gulp. But this Thursday, we're going to be talking about the Gumball Rally, a 1970s film about racing, because Kat and I are exploring a bunch of race car movies because it is racing season. Le Mans just happened. And so we're talking about car racing movies. And so that's happening on the Phantasmagorium on Thursday. And last week we did Ford versus Ferrari. So if you're a gearhead, I am not. Kat is. And so she's schooling me in these particulars. And then the rest of the time, come on, Jill, I don't have to tell everybody that I'm hanging out with you, whether they like it or not.
Well, yeah, whether they like it or not. On Friday, we're going to review Star Trek: The Next Generation 2-parter Unification.
True.
So you get to see some Nimoy.
Let's go, Spock.
Yeah, some cowboy diplomacy.
Oh, it's going to be so good. And we're talking about Michael Piller as well.
Yes. Oh yeah, Michael Piller. I forgot about him. I love Nimoy so much. I forgot about the Piller part. But yeah, he's going to be an important part of it. He writes the second episode, and he does a whole lot of good work for Star Trek. And we'll talk about it.
Yes.
Yeah, so we can also talk about stuff he did besides unification. It's just it's just to tie stuff together.
It's a framework. But yeah, I do have to step away, and thank you so much, chat. You guys are all lovely, gorgeous, and you smell fantastic. I will see you in the future. Thank you, Jill, for having me. And again, another big shout out to Jedi Master who had to step away. So I'll see you in.
Yes, thank you.
Will I see you in the
Thank you,
future,
Jedi
or will I
Master.
see you in the past?
I'll see you yesterday.
Sounds good.
So Sigvaldison says, Jill and Scotty, hope you both have a great rest of your week. Cry out to DC to push that very big pretty button on Friday. Yes, it's only Tuesday, so we have a few days to prepare for preventing Harvey from escaping. Although sometimes I'm a little ambivalent to it. Like it's like, okay, there he goes again. He's gonna try to escape again. How many times has he failed at this? Is he really gonna be any good at this? Or I feel sometimes I feel that way, or sometimes I feel nihilistic. Like, okay, Harvey's gonna do it this time. I'm kind of on your side, Sigvaldson. Sometimes, go Harvey, go. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. Let's see it. You know, I sitting there with my popcorn and everything. I don't know why, but never do I feel I've got to stop Harvey. I've got to stop Harvey or something like that. It's just that's not something that I don't think I need to. I think everybody else is working so hard to stop Harvey that I don't have to, so I get to be lazy. Kronos says, later, taters. Beeger. Yes, Kronos. Beeger was an orifice, but that it was exactly that. I'm not sure, but it would explain why the Decker unit liked Beeger so much. Yes, I put up your chat for an uncomfortably long time. Thank you, Kronos, for hanging out today. And thank you, the glove cleaner. Yes, enjoy your respective weeks. Monk of Magnesia says Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby, is a great racing movie. I asked him if he's going to review that. I think they're not covering that one. But you know what? Maybe since I asked, and maybe since you mentioned it, maybe they'll change their minds. The people have spoken more than once on this. You're doing racing movies. You should do Talladega Nights. No, Kronos Beeger was the other side. You know what? Yes. Siege Odyssey, it looks way more like the other side. I'm on your side. Sigvaldison says, I know every week I feel disappointed. Like maybe he isn't trying to get out. Or is it all a stage act? And Harvey Cthulhu is not around when he pushes his theatrics. Well, yeah, Harvey lives in another dimension, so usually he's busy doing other stuff. And he comes around during Friday Night Frolics to try to get out. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, because as much as they are enemies, they're also best friends. So I don't know really how hard Harvey is trying. That is a question too. Beeger needed a space seed. Okay, this is getting. Oh wow, Spock. Oh my god. All right. Well, I'm sorry if you guys are only listening to this as a podcast because I'm not reading all of these. But I'm laughing because it's sort of not wrong. And thank you everybody for the fun ideas for fortune cookies that tell you things that are obviously going to happen. That's a fun thing. And thank you to the glove cleaner, Kronos. Thank you to the glove cleaner for the $10 and also to Old Man Bird for the super chat. And also to the Dead Man for the super chat about quantum entanglement. Yes, it is the real thing, quantum physics. But that means that what's possible in the quantum world isn't necessarily possible in the macro world, unfortunately. But thank you also for renewing your membership, Sigwaldson. And yeah, that's also something that really helps the channel grow, and I appreciate that. Thank you for being here, Jason Love. Also, what helps is everybody who comes to hang out here and make the stream even more fun with your contributions from the chat. Greek letters Larson, thank you for being here. Some people call you Dionysus Larson. I never know what. Nordopupus Cuber. Oh yeah, I never read this one for you. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the play? Yes. And let's see who else was here today. I think I had a few more people. DJ Knight, there he is. I had a feeling that your daughter would love a teddy bear. Yeah. She likes bears. So, yeah. Oh, I do have a few. I do have a few of clips still from Fear and Loathing because I thought that movie was kind of funny. Do I have them here? Not there. Probably here.
Quick, like a bunny. Come on. This is Bat Country. Listen, let's get down to brass tacks here. How much for the 8?
You know what? I gotta reclip that into one clip because that one is not good when you when it gets skipped over. Gavin Blackburn, thank you for being here. Also, I don't know if I'm repeating names here, but we've also got Slasher Fred. Thank you to Slasher Fred and Swift -1. Oh, I'm getting something. Yes, I'm agreeing with the message I just received. Mage Grey Wolf, thank you. Thank you for hanging out. Lemon Pie, Christian Fandom Geek. And oh, Suzanne was here. Yeah, that's right. She went to bed. She went to bed really, really late, I think. Brogu. And Brogu, I hope you had a good day at work. Hope you can catch the replay. And that reminds me, thank you to everybody who's on the replay or watching this either on the replay or lurking throughout this entire stream. I appreciate all of you. And Chrono says, later, taters. Well, and so thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I hope everything's fine for you. And I'll see you guys next time. Next Tuesday, we'll talk about more Twilight Zone. This Friday, we'll talk some Star Trek. And who knows what'll happen in between. You might see me here and there and around. Oh, on Wednesday, I'm going to be going to the Eclectic Goats channel to talk about a zombie show from Netflix I've never heard of. Which is, I guess, the name of her show, shows you've never heard of. Let's see if I have her link here. Just in case you're not subscribed to her, you gotta subscribe to her to see me tomorrow on her show. That's what I'm gonna do today is go watch this zombie show. So let's see if I can find her. There she is. I gotta add her to my list. Here we go. Yeah, so Wednesday I'll be there. Yes, I'll see you next Tuesday. Yeah, that is a bit of a joke. But Eclectic Goat, go check her out. She's really, really cool. Deej says, I know all the zombie shows. Actually, I believe you. And so I'll see you guys next time. Bye now.
Learn all that is learnable.
And the ways our differences combine to create meaning and beauty.
It has always been easier to destroy than to create.
May we together become greater than the sum of both of us.
Well, now you have something new to think about. Carry on.
All right, move along. Done. Stop it. Get off of the things. Go outside. Get some food. It's like, you know, it's a time of day where you live. Go do something. Shut up, Snoopy. I don't care. You smoke too much. Let's go. Let's go adventure. Let's go explore.
We don't have to be mean. Because, remember, no matter where you go, there you are.